Monday removed limits on aggressive immigration enforcement measures used by federal agents in Central California, which opponents had argued amounted to unconstitutional racial profiling. The justices gave no written explanation for the ruling, which overturned two lower court decisions that had blocked the practices after finding Immigration and Customs Enforcement likely violated the Fourth Amendment. Hawaii under state of emergency. Hawaii has declared a state of emergency in preparation for potential severe weather from Hurricane Kiko, officials announced. Acting Governor Sylvia Luke signed the emergency order Friday afternoon, extending it statewide. 58 shot over Labor Day weekend in Chicago. Chicago police say at least 58 people were shot over Labor Day weekend, 8 of them fatally, including a drive-by shooting that injured 7. The surge in violence coincided with former President Donald Trump repeating threats to deploy federal agents and National Guard troops to the city, despite opposition from Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Xi and Putin reaffirm old friend ties. Chinese President Xi Jinping greeted Russian President Vladimir Putin as an old friend on Tuesday as the two leaders opened a round of talks amid shared and separate disputes with the United States. Ties between Beijing and Moscow have grown closer in recent years, especially following Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in early 2022. Earthquake kills hundreds in Afghanistan. At least 250 people died and more than 500 others were injured in Afghanistan after a 6-magnitude earthquake struck in the nation's east late Sunday, the authorities said, adding that the death toll would likely rise. FDA expands warning of radioactive shrimp. Earlier this week, federal health officials announced a recall of nearly 18,000 bags of Kroger Mercado cooked medium peeled tail-off shrimp and more than 26,000 packages of cocktail shrimp, both distributed by Seattle-based Aquastar Corp., due to possible contamination with the radioactive isotope cesium-137, CS-137. Volkswagen faces historic $30 million loss for labor abuse.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guests and should not be interpreted as statement of fact. Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Let's see what will go wrong today. Ethically.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
My dog is your mind's best friend. My dog is your mind's best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with a Dog. You make me laugh.
Computer's asking me who's using Chrome. There's only one person who ever uses Chrome. Why would you ask me this question? Stupid computer. Oh. I might have a bad mood already. What's this happen? Good morning, folks. Will that end on its own, or am I just gonna have to? It's gonna pop up now? Yes? No? Oh no, it turned off. Good morning. It is Tuesday, September 9th. That's what she said, right? That's what she said. 2025. If you haven't noticed, we start the program with a new AI news reader. And I'm not liking any of them. Every day is a new one. It's just AI. You can tell it's AI, and I don't like it. I need to hire. I need to get a news person, somebody just to read the news. Take the beginning shift of just reading a minute of headlines, and then somewhere around the middle of the program, just read news headlines and give us a break so we can walk away, do whatever we need to do. I don't know, whatever that is, and then come back to it. Yesterday, you might have noticed we had a couple of people in the chat room who were not here before. A little bit aggressive, but apparently was a denial of service attack on minddogtv.com, and coincidentally, YouTube was got a couple of people reporting our channel as I'm not exactly sure, misinformation or whatever they're reporting us about. Just angry that we exist and trying to get us canceled. I suspect there's not a organized movement here, but there are people here who are fans of somebody who's not a fan of this program. That's easy. That's probably an easy guess, right? Who are trying to take this down, and I don't know why. We'll fall down on our own. We'll cancel ourselves. You don't have to. You don't have to get involved in this. I promise you, it won't be long before I just blow this thing up somehow. It will happen. I've been debanked in the last week, so that could have something to do with it too. Anyway, yeah. So hate mail, and attacks. For what? Are we really? For the amount of people that see us, are we really a threat to anybody who see us or listen to us? We're a threat to nobody. Nobody. And listen, I'm pretty sure nobody. Nobody is influenced by my words. Maybe GD's a little bit. He's a little more influential than me. We have a good show for you today, and I've said that before, and you didn't believe me, and you were right to not believe. No, we've had some good shows. Today's show is thanks to Elizabeth Croydon, Queen Elizabeth, who is not doing so well. Let's all send her some best wishes. She's not feeling well today, a little under the weather. I don't want to get into details because she's not sharing them publicly. I'm not going to share them publicly. She's just not feeling well. So let's send her some best wishes. She has sent us Dan Pasternak, the legendary Dan Pasternak, will be with us in hour 2 today. We'll talk about a couple of things, or 3 things and more. And here's a little teaser. If you stay to the end of the show, you will hear about a mythical creature sighting that he's actually verified a legend twice in his life. So that's all I'm going to say about it. It's not like Bigfoot exactly, or alien encounter exactly, but it's along those lines. Something that's just amazing, and something that few humans have really ever witnessed. So, although it's legendary, I'll leave it at that. We have sponsors. We do have sponsors. None of you actually are patronizing our sponsors, and that breaks my heart. Not even Tantally. I would have thought some of our crowd, listen, if we were dangerous, if we were a threat to anybody, some of our crowd would have partaken in the Tantally situation by now. But instead, we have people like this.
Mind Bloom is helping people achieve life-changing clinical and personal breakthroughs, alchemizing both the psychedelic medication, psychiatric care from psychiatric clinicians, coaches, we call psychedelic guides, and a lot of content and meditations and programs into this really transformational experience that, because it's delivered at home, costs a lot less and is a lot more convenient for people to receive.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the room with me now are a legendary, a legend himself. Let's put it that way, GD Feddersen. Good morning, GD.
Good morning, America. MindDogTV.com. Did you waste hours of time doing something so that a certain person wouldn't have to find a CD player because they said they didn't have a CD player, but they had a CD player in their attic, which they retrieved from their attic, but you didn't know until after you sent them a multiple WMA files so that they could hear the music that
No,
they
that
had
never
on
happened to
CD?
me. I've
Who
never
would be
done that.
that dumb to do that?
I don't know.
MindDogTV.com/merch.
I've never done
Enjoy
that.
the suffering and support your local mercenaries.
No. I sent you a text as soon as I got the CD thing. You know what? My wife said there's a CD player in the attic, and immediately I didn't even waste any time. I said I gotta send GB a text. I let him know I have a CD player so he doesn't waste his time. And then hours later, many hours later, I got there. Oh, I sent you a Dropbox. Yeah, I saw that. Maybe you didn't see my text. So
Yeah, I didn't see the text because
it's not my fault. Then I'm not in trouble.
I was busy doing the thing that I was doing, and therefore,
Well, I do have a couple of CDs. I have not opened yet. My Crack the Sky, and I got a shirt too. Crack the Sky. One is a live thing in the Baker Files.
this is the live one, and this is the Baker's file.
The Baker Files. Now that's Jim and Tammy Baker.
Yes, Jim and Tammy Baker. John Palumbo wrote some songs back. Well, there's a thing inside the sleeve for you to read. Once you open it, you can read it. There's to let you know about this particular CD, and I listened to it yesterday. I liked it a lot.
Only 5 songs. I mean,
Yeah, it tells you why there's only 5 songs on there.
it does?
Yeah, no, not there. You have to open it up. There's a sleeve inside.
Oh.
There's like a
Oh,
insert.
I'm not good at opening things. I get a kid.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, you know that.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
I'm gonna tell you what John Palumbo would do. He would open them and listen to the music because John Palumbo is a fucking saint. No.
Wow. So Dan Pasternak will be here later. We've got a couple of things. First of all, there's a John Candy documentary. I Like Me, John Candy. That's going to be. They're doing like a screening and Q&A tour, and Dan is moderating that. And then there's re-releases of Airplane and Stand By Me that he's doing some with the original cast kind of screenings and things like that.
Yeah, and the kind of director's cut.
Director's cut. Now, what do you think is in Airplane that might have been left out of?
I can't. You can just imagine the jokes
I
that they
can.
wrote. The jokes that they wrote that the censor said you can't tell that joke.
Yeah. All right. I could see your point there that they would say they would run into some difficulty with, but
Or
no.
just for example, just think of the scene where I can't remember the guy's name, but he's running around. He's the comic relief inside the comic relief in the tower, and he's running around and says, "What can you make of this? Well, I can make a hat. I can make a brooch, and I can see it's like that. I can make a dildo. I can make see, you can see, and then they go, okay, you can't do that. I can make a butt plug. No, so."
Yeah, I don't know why you picked on that guy of all people.
Because I was trying to find someone that you could tell that they could just go way off by making it up.
Go off script, yeah.
Right, and that's a perfect opportunity, like I just did. You could make.
There's a lot of jokes that I don't know. They're not really funny in the context of today's social paradigm, I guess.
But
the guy, this pedophile joke. Hey, Johnny, I like movies with Gladys. The guy's hitting on little kids.
Oh yeah.
with homoerotic suggestions to a little boy. That's kind of, I don't know if that would pass a PG rating or even get on basic cable without some kind of warning today.
But that's true. They will put it on, but then the warnings that they put on the beginning of movies for television just annoy the fuck out of me. Like we have we have some subscription services, okay, which means we paid money for this. I don't need for them to say, warning, this movie contains scenes that may disturb you, like smoking. Literally, it says smoking. It's like, okay, uh, I get it. There's smoking in here. Okay, sex. Yeah. Well, that's why I rented this one, for the sex. I don't want to be warned about the things I've rented the thing to see. That's what I want to see. I want to see the violence. I wanted to see the sex. That's why I wanted this movie.
Yeah.
But
Now, does Amazon Prime, you pay a membership for that, right? But they charge you for some movies on there. So it's not like Netflix where you buy it and everything is free.
right.
You buy it and then you have to buy again. And then some they'll even put in commercials. You buy it again and still get commercials. Like, what the?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Those are the only two I really have, is Netflix and Amazon Prime.
Well, I only watch Amazon, and I didn't do it this time because somebody gave me a gift card, and when I went to register the gift card, they automatically added me to Prime, and they started taking Prime memberships out of the gift card.
Yeah.
Which I did not know, and so I went to finally. I was waiting for the end of the season for The Boys, so I could binge watch seasons 3 and 4. And so my wife was gone for a week. I said, okay, great. I can binge watch The Boys and I can binge watch Invincible. And then I go to activate and my card has no fucking money on it. They were taking subscription out of it for all the time. And I'm like, and I was so pissed. I was so pissed that I wrote them a letter and they didn't refund me my stuff. And I said, fuck you people. This is why I don't have Amazon, because you're a bunch of fucking dicks or something like that. I was just very angry.
You're hitting a little close to home right now, making me suicidal. Oh no, I'm just kidding. Whatever platform thinks that word is a trigger. I have not streaming movie related services, but I had another thing. I guess I signed up for a trial and I thought I canceled it. And then found out I got whopped with a $6,995 deduction from your checking account. This was on Sunday. It's like, whoa, and now I'm arguing with the bank to kind of get the money back. I don't know. I canceled this shit. I'm sure. Oh my God, it's a friggin' nightmare. This whole world has become, give us access to your banking account so we can fuck you over royally when you. I don't like it. So now anything anybody asks me to sign up for, no, because I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna sneak into my account and steal it while I'm sleeping on a Sunday morning. That's what you're gonna do.
Yesterday, and this is totally different. I was cooking dinner. My wife was in the office in her office working right over there. Y'all can see over there, right? That's her office right over there.
I know that.
But I was in the kitchen, which is over there, cooking. And my wife yells, "There's somebody in the yard. Somebody's walking around outside." So, and I'm in the kitchen cooking. I got on my bathrobe. I said, "Fine." I said, "I got this, honey." So I go outside. And there's a guy. I can see him walking around the house with a piece of paper in his hand. And so I walk outside. And just as I get to the door, he rings the bell. And I said, motherfucker, he's a salesperson. He's walking around to say something like, yeah, we do repairs and blah, blah, blah. And I noticed that you have the blah, 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 blah. And so.
You have blah, 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 blah?
Yeah. And so I open the door and he goes, "I like your robe." And I'm like, don't fucking patronize me. And I saw. I said, "I'm cooking dinner." I said, "I really don't have time to talk. I'm in the middle of cooking dinner." I just didn't know. I just came to the door because somebody's walking around. I came out here because somebody's walking around my house. And he goes, "No, we're just in the neighborhood." I said, "I'm cooking dinner. I have food on the stove right now." Because, I get paid if I leave prices. I said, "I'm cooking dinner." I said, because I don't mean to take up your time. I said, "Well, you are, and I'm gone. I'm out of here. Bye." He goes, "It was nice talking to you." And he goes, "I noticed that you have this." I said, "Did you notice that we have a brand new deck out back?" I'm not spending any more fucking money.
Ooh.
I was angry.
Well, I appreciate your anger, but I can't get past the fact that you're answering the door in a robe, and this guy, he's commenting on your robe, not really patronizing you, but he's offering not sexual advances. Sounds like, and you didn't follow up. And now the fact that you're cooking in your robe. After you've already used up the foreskin for a bacon substitute, it's just disturbing, especially in the morning. I mean, in the afternoon, I would be more
No, it was in
prepared.
the afternoon. It was 4:30.
Yeah, but right now, just thinking about it, it's gonna affect me
Okay. I
all
thought,
for the
yeah.
rest of the day. Wow. So what was he selling?
Fuck if I know. Something about outdoor shit, like
Oh,
siding, roofing. Our roof is like 5 years old. Really? What the fuck do I want a roof for?
yeah.
My siding is like it's outside the house. It's not falling apart. You know?
Well, on the siding note, I discovered, well, everything on this house got siding on it except for the garage door, which is still wood. And it turns out that one of our chickens is half woodpecker. I watched him yesterday. He was packing, and I think he's going to get. I don't know if there's lead in the paint, but it's a wood door, an old garage wood door. And who the fuck? I mean, how often do you paint?
Are there termites in the door he's trying to get to?
No, he's taking off wood chips and then like eating the chip or something. I'll look at that. I didn't even consider that there might be termites, but no, we don't have a termite problem. We get sprayed every year.
Probably
It
ants.
looked like he was just like into wood. But they're weird. They peck at human legs like they think that's food, which really shouldn't be that surprising. We eat them. Why not they eat us, right? Uh, but yeah, so yeah, wood and lead paint. I don't know. There's probably no lead in the paint on the garage door. The chicken's safe.
When was it painted?
What?
They haven't used lead paint for a very long time. So when was the garage door painted?
Yeah, definitely within the last 5 years or so. Maybe
Oh yeah,
10,
no lead
10
paint.
years out.
There's probably something else that could kill it, or,
Yeah.
or who knows what kind of you know how they have some things they put in plastic that they also put in our food.
Yeah.
So for some reason, I guess it's edible. Like that's like xanthan gum. I think they put it in tires, but they put it in your food.
Well, I don't
Maybe
know
there's
what
something.
you may. That's why I say that it made America really we're the sickest country in all vaccine. I got nothing works, and I don't. That's why.
Okay.
All right. I'm sorry to make fun of a guy who. Well, no, I'm not sorry. He did it to himself. He ate his own fucking brain, and this is what happens when you eat your own fucking brain. Yeah, whatever.
And not only that, but he also eats many other forms of roadkill.
Yeah. Yes, and not just
And he
roadkill,
swims in toxic rivers.
bears. So bears, baby bears. That's a whole.
Yeah, even if you're not eating the roadkill, you're handling roadkill. Okay, once it's been there for let's say an hour, things start to gather on it. Things that are toxic to people if you eat them.
Yeah.
And just like the band says, not the band, but the other band whose name I
The other
can't
band.
think of, everything counts in small amounts.
What band does that?
I don't know. It
Okay.
might be New Order or it's one of the bands I get mixed up with. It's like I get New Order and Depeche Mode and Joy Division. I get a lot of their stuff mixed up. And a friend of mine who says, "How could you get them mixed up? They're so fucking different," and they probably are. I'm willing to bet they are very different, but I get them mixed up out of context. Like everything counts in small amounts. I'm leaning to a Depeche Mode.
Ah, that's a strange way to lean. Don't lean that too far that way towards Depeche Mode because you will grow your foreskin back.
Mm.
Well, whatever. So what you have a take because there have been some malicious attempts to I cancel. I get a like again. Like why?
I get a little bit concerned about that because I have been removed and complained about. I have been removed from other sites from people complaining about me, my jokes or my humor, this that, just they just it basically was just bogus complaints. But there are just so many of them that they just decided that they didn't want me on the anti-Trump site.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, an anti-Trump site kicked me off, and also a site for black comedians kicked me off.
Well, you're not really all that black.
And it was the same guy. It was the same person complaining on both places.
Speaking of anti-black, well, not this is not anti-black. Well, it's kind of, sort of, it's a interesting thing. Matt Rife decided to come out for
As
some reason.
black?
Come out, no, uh, come out and tell the world that he loves Dave Chappelle and he doesn't like Chris Rock. Can't stand his voice. His material doesn't land, and Chris Rock is firing back. You don't know anything about material. You just come out and insult people. I think that's material. But I think the difference is Chris Rock is far more, I don't know, black. He uses black in his comedy a lot. Like he meant racial stuff is a lot. And he says the word black. He doesn't say the N word, but he says the word black a lot, and he says it angry, like white people do this, they're black people. I think that's the issue. I think Matt Rife is responding to his inner racist a little bit with the I hate Chris Rock stuff. I don't know. That's what I get. A lot of white people who don't like Chris Rock because he's too black for them. Too black.
I guess I'm not sure. I guess I'll never have that problem. I don't know.
Yeah, you're not black enough for the black comedy group on was it on Facebook? Black comedy.
It was a black comedy group on Facebook, and the thing is, it wasn't the group that had the problem. The group loved me. It was one guy. I can't remember his name now, but I was Rhonda Handsome introduced me to that site.
Oh,
yeah. So I had some cred when I got there because it was Rhonda Handsome. And so I was posting memes and stuff like that, and I was getting really good responses. And this other guy was used to him getting all this stuff, and so I didn't know that he was like a hot piece of shit over there. I was invited to it. I said, you would do well over here, so I go over there and I do my memes and my one-liners that I make into memes, and people are liking it. And the same thing with the anti-Trump site, except the anti-Trump site is more political. So I would go over there and because I wrote for Politipod, I would do a meme, and at the very bottom it would say Politipod, and then it would say Politipod, and then because Politipod likes to credit us, at the very bottom it would have my name. Wow. So like it'd be the meme, Politipod logo, and then they'll say GD Fenderson. So people would know who wrote this for Politipod. And the guy goes, only thing he's doing is self-promoting. It's like, no, I'm attacking Trump. I'm promoting Politipod. I said, I did not put my name at the bottom of that. He put that at the bottom of it. I'm just, and he just kept saying, all he does is he's just promoting himself. He's not here for the cause. He's not here for this. He's just promoting himself. And every day he would make like 4 or 5 complaints about me until eventually they just went like,
I'm just Googling GD Fenderson here. And the reason I'm doing is to see to see if you're getting any bump from the negative publicity about, let's say, some comedy reaction live streams that might have taken you to task recently. I'm not sure if they are making any difference. Do you think they're making it? Are you seeing any kind of increase in traffic to your sites? I
wouldn't know. Let's put this way. I don't have any. I have not increased. I don't have an increase in membership. I don't track how many people watch me or follow me. I have not. I don't have an increase in followers. That I do know. Or it's not, or at least not from anything they done.
So we're basically we're just proving this whole there's no such thing as bad publicity, because you're getting bad publicity and it's not. Well, I don't know, bad publicity. whatever it is. But you're not getting any bump out of it, so it's really worthless.
I guess. And now what I have not done is I have not checked to see the views on the special the show that they're trashing. I haven't checked to see if the number of views on that have gone up.
Yeah.
I guess I could look at that. I don't know. I wouldn't know.
If I Google you, you know the first thing that comes up? And I
Um,
think this is going to be a surprise to you.
I'm gonna say my website, So GD Funny.
Nope. That's not even in top 10. The
Wow.
first thing that comes up is your Twitter handle. You don't even use Twitter that much.
No, I don't even use Twitter.
Why the hell would that come up as number one? Maybe because the algorithm knows I'm a Twitter guy, and I don't want to be a Twitter guy, but the algorithm has locked me into that, and now I am a Twitter guy. I wish I should join Twitter's Anonymous. Is there a TA?
There is a TA, but
XA. What does TA stand for again?
It depends on where you live. TA is a trucker's gas station. It is also transactional analysis, which is what I think of first. No, and that's from back in the 70s when I used to do that transactional analysis.
Teacher's assistant is what I am.
Yeah, teacher's assistant. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So first, your X or Twitter file, then Instagram.
Really, I don't use my Instagram.
Then YouTube, then Facebook. All this stuff comes up before. Where's so GD Funny? IMDb page.
What?
This show.
Wait a minute. Well, no, back up. You say I have an IMDb page?
Yeah. What movie were you in? Oh,
I don't remember the name of it.
Talking Comedy with Certified Forensic Humorist GD. What is this thing? Is this a movie? Oh, it's a podcast episode of somebody else's. I don't know. Talking Comedy with Forensic Humorist GD Fenderson. Did you start a different podcast at one point and maybe Podfade or something?
No, the one that Alan and I were doing hasn't started releasing yet.
Oh, this is an English. This is based in the UK podcast episode. It's from this year. You don't remember doing anything with an English podcaster in the last year? In this year, 2025. That's weird. Talking Comedy with Certified Forensic Humorist GD Fenderson. Oh, wow. That's good. You know what? I'm going to make a prediction before we go any further here. And this,
is there a link or something that you can send me?
It's on IMDb page. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Because I didn't know. Maybe it's not, but it's not my IMDb page, right? It's someone else's.
It looks like but that's all that's on there. It's not like there's any movies or anything.
I was in one movie, and I don't remember the name of it.
Oh yeah, the pilot thing too, the television thing, right? That supposedly in the can, but not out yet. But they usually list things that are in the can.
Yeah, that's being edited, and they're adding music to it now. I forgot I was in that until you just mentioned it.
Actually, it says the release date August 24th, 2025, United Kingdom. That's weird. Whatever. Well, we'll get to the bottom of it. But the prediction I'm going to make, and this is good in terms of that stream that is so critical of you, because the people who are really successful that we've had on this program, and icons like Barry Katz is an icon in some level. Those people love you. Alan Katz love you. Well, Barry Katz maybe not.
I wouldn't say Barry Katz loves me. I would say that the jury is still out.
All right. But he doesn't bash you or anything like that. But
no, he doesn't.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and make a prediction that Dan Pasternak going to take a liking to you, and sooner you're going to be getting like offers to be in his little big production. He doesn't do a little production. I think that he's going to be like, oh, that Napo dude is a dick, but I like DD President. So I think that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, he's going to say, I have a role for him, and he wants me to play a mop in a.
Yeah.
If I were in an improv group, I'm pretty sure that one of the people in the improv group would like want to pick me up and turn me upside down and use me as a mop in the show.
Oh.
That's Steven.
I just closed an important window. What you thought that was Steven? Why did you think that?
No, Steven just chimed in. Says he likes to bathe. I like your bathe. I like your bath.
What?
He likes our bath, I think he says.
I like your boat.
Oh.
Maybe it's time for new glasses. Oh, you don't have glasses?
No, I don't need glasses. I have a seeing eye dog.
I wonder what window I just closed that was important to be open. I guess I'll never know.
IMDb page? Well, everything that I'm looking at still has a check mark, but I can't see everything that we're on.
Oh no, that's yeah. There's notes that have been introduced. Do we know how to use notes? We don't have any fucking clue on how to use. Did you see that?
I didn't read the thing. I just saw that they've included it. I'm like, okay, I'll worry about it later.
Yeah, it seems like there's some kind of folders in the sound thing too, but that's not exactly the folders we were talking about. So they're making improvements. I just whatever, and they're raising prices again. So who knows what's going on with StreamYard?
For me, it's kind of like that when they announce something. It's okay. My car has like a 400-page manual. I have read probably 10 pages of it.
More than I have. Whatever.
Okay. There's so much shit, and I am learning some of the things that some of the buttons. I am learning what some of the buttons do in my car by accident. Like I hit something, I'm like, why did my mirrors go in? It's like I was literally driving down the road, and I put my arm on armrest, and my mirrors go like this. I went, what the fuck for? I can't pull over because I can't see what's going. So I'm looking around saying, where was my hands? What did I okay. Oh, there's a mirror cut. There's a picture of a mirror on this button. Oh, okay. There we go.
Right. Yeah, I have that problem with my TV remote. When I press it, like the vibrator tickles in my ass a little bit. I am just kidding.
That's usually a sign that the batteries are too big.
Oh.
No.
Speaking of Ron Kane, I don't see Ron advertising like Mr. Tongues or any of his stuff. Is he still doing that?
Yeah, he's still doing Mr. Tongues. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to see if I can get on there next Monday.
Now, I'm not seeing a lot of him at all on social media. Are you? Is it just me that?
I haven't seen a lot of it either, but I used to see more of Ron than anything else. Because Ron is an avid, social media poster, and so I was constantly seeing it. But the algorithms are like replacing him with other shit that I didn't ask for. But I guess they heard me talk about it. I guess so. I have to seek Ron out again. But so probably like next week, I'll see if I can get on his Mr. Tongue thing.
Oh, yeah. I was just wondering, why Facebook just decided to not show me anymore, and I didn't go actively looking for it. Maybe I should, and then they'll say, "Okay, you want to see this? We'll show it to you more." But it just seemed like he had become whatever he is now in the working world. I don't know what his exact position is, but it seemed whatever it is, he's become that. I think they get upset because nobody would check. There was one person in it.
Yeah, there was two people that. Yeah, but was it Weird Comet? I think it was, or something.
Yeah,
and then somebody from that actually had the. And the thing is, he wasn't, because I was chatting with him in the chat room. He wanted us to talk about him or talk like on the show like this. He wanted to be part of this. He wants to talk like this. And we had a guest. And so I'm not going, let's We are not the same format that he is like.
Well, he was being slightly aggressive too. Like this guest realized that nobody's ever going to see him and all this stuff. Now he's
Right.
going off numbers on YouTube, and I appreciate where he's coming from in the fact that when Mike does his Sunday morning show, he will get 800 or so people watching live and in the live chat on YouTube. We don't get that. We're lucky if we get 8. That would be a big day for us.
Right.
And he was looking for company in the chat room or something like that, and obsessed with, I got to see your real numbers. So that made me a little curious. It's not that I care about, because again, they YouTube thinks Joe Rogan is my competition. I mean, I don't look at that because I don't want to get depressed and see Joe Rogan got 18 million viewers today. You got 18. So I don't want to see that. But I did look at, there's this app I have, vidIQ, and it does rankings and all that and compares you to other sites. According to vidIQ, I'm literally 1 million spots higher on the rankings than Blind Mike. So Blind Mike is rated 3.9 million in channels. My channel is rated 2.8 million. So we're significantly higher than them. They get more viewers per stream, but overall we got more subscribers and more viewers. So you know what? You're gonna play that game like, oh, we better do like numbers and all that. It's a hodgepodge. That's what it is.
And he was asking me, he was saying this, like I said, look, I don't keep track of those things. Like, for example, I said, look, we're on, I know I said we're on like 12 platforms or something. I think I said like 12 platforms.
Yeah, more than that, way more than that.
Well, I don't know them all. Honestly, I don't know them all. And then I can't, and even when I'm looking here, I can only see, I think 8.
Right.
I can only see 8. And I know, like, for example, I don't know if that's Rumble or not, because I don't know what their thing looks like. But
it's that big R. There's Picardo, I don't know what the M is, but
oh, okay, I don't see the R. There's a logo over top of it.
Yeah, there's a logo on the top of it. You're right, and that's right next to the G, which is Govs. But yeah, so and we're on Govs, but we're going out to the radio. The radio app is a different whole, and you wouldn't see any of these listening there. The radio thing is going to 19 different radio distributor things: iHeartRadio, ASUS, TuneCore, a bunch of those. So. Yeah, I wouldn't even bother trying to track all those numbers.
Yeah, and so when I said that, he says, now that's hilarious. Like I was making it up. I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah. Well, whatever. I don't care.
I just, like I said, my thing is I have this thing about setting the record straight. That's all.
And some people won't let you like, for instance, the family of some of the victims of the family of Jeffrey Epstein released the birthday card that Donald Trump. Now it looks like a drawing of a naked underage girl. I mean, unless you think a woman would have titties the size of a 12-year-old girl or something. And of course, the first reaction from the MAGA crowd is it's fake. It's fake. It's fake. Of course it's fake because it makes your guy look really bad. It doesn't make him look bad. He is bad, but
now
evidence.
And their arguments, like Trump says, well, they're saying that's not Trump's signature, and they want to compare it to the way he writes now. We don't know the way he wrote back then.
Oh, we do.
We do. I mean, I'm saying we. I mean, like I don't. I don't know how, but I know that over the years my signature has evolved, and also if I just write my first name, I write it differently than if I wrote my whole name. So, because they're saying he has a tail at the Donald has a tail, and he doesn't use a tail. Well, maybe when he writes Donald, he does, and maybe back then he did.
Yes, he did, because Keith Olbermann. You remember Keith?
Oh yeah, I loved Keith Olbermann.
Yeah,
I used to really like his show.
You know what? I really, really enjoyed him when he had a late night show right after somewhere in the early '90s. I think there was Tom Snyder had retired and they had nothing following Letterman. So that this was the follow up. It was before Bob Costas even had later, and he did a show that I thought was remarkable. He was really good on that. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
He's really good now. What he said now, he says what happens is every time he does something to piss people off,
Right.
he goes and it's self sabotaging. He says it's almost like he can't help himself. He's like, okay, things are going real good. Really? We'll see about that. and he does himself in every single time.
Keith got a letter from Donald Trump on March 28th, 2014. And it says, Dear Keith, your piece on Ted Turner on the Lifetime Achievement Award finalist was fantastic. You're right when you say he should be get two of them. Signed Donald Trump, and it's just signed Donald over Donald, and it looks exactly the same. Exactly. I mean, you put it over the signature on the card, and they match up perfectly. So, that whole thing. Well, that's not a signature. It's somebody who's the best forger in the world, and who knew exactly how he signed it in 2014.
Yeah.
There you go. But still, no, that's fake. Keith Olbermann faked that afterwards. That's right, right? That's
Yeah, because that's another one of his talents. He does good. He does good stories, good journalism. Well, I don't want to say journalism. He does good commentary, and is a great forger.
wicked smart type of guy. But so just on that, did Keith Olbermann or the Democrats or also fake Donald Trump saying that E. Jean Carroll really enjoyed him sneaking up on him and ramming his fingers up her vagina? Did the Democrats invent Donald Trump actually saying those words?
Apparently, it was Chris Rock doing an impersonation of Trump. It was Chris Rock doing it,
Yeah.
and Matt Rife has not liked him ever since.
Yeah. Why would Matt Rife just completely changing subject? Why would Matt Rife at this point in his career pick a fight with Chris Rock like that? That in public? That's just a dumb move. It's not. I mean, I could do it because nobody fucking cares what I say. But Matt Rife is at the top of the mountain right now, and that's just like saying somebody knocked me off the mountain and picking Chris Rock to do it. Didn't you see the way it worked out with what's his name, Will Smith? You don't want to take on Chris Rock. I think he's not an aggressive guy, but he's a pretty powerful guy in show business, whether you think he is or not. He's hosted award shows for a reason, because he's got some cachet. It just seems stupid. Do you think there's an upside to just because he wasn't provoked to do that? He just did it out of nowhere.
I don't have an answer.
Like picking a fight with a guy who's above your weight class for no reason at all.
Yeah, it'd be like if he picked a fight with me. Yeah.
Well, you're above my weight class? I don't think
it'd be like if he picked a fight with me. I'm way above his weight class.
Yeah.
He's a very petite, bite-sized person, isn't he?
Is
I have no idea.
I don't think he is.
I don't know. Actually, I don't know what he looks like. If you showed me like 4 pictures of 4 white guys, that were relatively similar. I couldn't tell you which one was Matt Rife.
Yeah, I think his new jaw probably weighs as much as you. He's got this kind of new jaw they put on. His face is just totally changed, and he doesn't admit it, which is kind of a womanly thing to do. I'm sorry. Well, why would a guy get plastic surgery? I understand women because they're always being judged on their looks and all that stuff. Why would a dude get plastic surgery?
Well, maybe if their nose was really, really crooked, but then
your jaw is really effeminate.
Yeah, and if their jaw, but most guys, if their jaw is effeminate, they just grow a beard to hide it.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe he can't grow a beard. Maybe that's it.
Come to think of it, he doesn't look like he could grow a beard. He doesn't look like he's got any beard holes.
Myself and my 2 brothers, all of us had the same pattern. If we grew a beard, we couldn't grow hair here. There was like 2 circles that were completely smooth with no stubble or anything. we just let it grow, and it'd be like two bare spots. And I used to joke that it was because my mother used to grab us like this when we were kids.
You know, if I
And
grew a beard, it would be like out to here. I mean, I could, but it's just like one of those, uh, more than like a chia. It's just like wild, like stray hairs everywhere, but lots of it. Like that's the only place on my body that will really flourish and grow a complete bush. But when I came home from, I don't know where I was, but I was away for months at a time, and I came home and I had this big old. People didn't recognize me. I looked like a mountain man, like uh, beards. How
I
did?
think I think I might know what made you laugh on Sunday,
Oh yeah,
because
forgot to
I
tell it.
was something of I was making shorts, and it was a thing about him being he was doing the thing he was doing the obituary for Graham Greene, the one who played Kicking Bird,
Yeah,
and he says rest in peace or something about drinking milk. Is it no? But I can't. He says he couldn't drink milk because he's lactose intolerant, and it gives him gas and it makes his butt go.
that's yeah. It was the fart stuff. Yeah,
It makes the butt go. Woo, 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 woo.
yeah,
How stinky is that?
yeah. I think that's it. That's it. I gotta look that up too. I don't know why. You know what? StreamYard generally takes the church stuff and makes like a bunch of shorts out of it. This week, it only found two moments, and neither one of them are like good moments that they thought worthy of making shorts out of. I'm like, what happened? I don't know what. I thought it was one of the better church sermons to do. Um, but what happened with StreamYard just all of a sudden not recognizing that there's funny moments here to go grab? I don't get it. Anyway, I'm I'm lactose intolerant. What?
I guess that means he doesn't. He does not like toes, so therefore he does not. Or if he meets a woman and she does not have toes, he will not tolerate her.
Is this what you do in between stealing money from the bank? Uh, no, if you have, I don't know. He's working today, so let him be. Let him be. I was
Yeah,
just gonna say, if
let's
he's
not
got time to
disturb
do
him.
that. He's got time to pop in if he's got time to do
Yeah,
that.
let's not disturb Steven while he's at work. We'll let him work in peace.
He's probably surrounded by bankers too, and that's not a good thing to do. If you surround yourself with bankers, I don't know.
Actually, right now he's doing this, and the bank is being robbed, but he has no idea because he's in the back typing shit.
Wow. But
He'll go
yeah,
out there. He'll roll out there and go like, "Why is everybody tied up?
what
Why
everybody.
are the drawers open? Were we
So
robbed?"
we got to send out some good wishes now for our Queen Elizabeth. She's not doing well today, which is a shame because she's responsible for Dan coming on the program today.
I sent her a text telling her I demanded that she feel better. I didn't ask her. I demanded that she feel better.
Uh, yes, quiet down so they don't find me. Find you. Find you. Is there? It's hiding in the bank somewhere. I mean, where do
It
you
was,
hide the bank?
I guess Stevens. And the funny thing is, even if they do find you, they won't find you attractive. So, so you're
Yeah,
okay.
that's true. What? All of a sudden, he's like blind GD or something. What the? He's getting mean. He's got a mean streak. See, I don't get the mean streak. That's and it's. I think it's a little bit of hypocritical to just be personally mean. Again, you know what? You want to criticize somebody's show, you don't like it, that's fine. But I think because if you remember when we first had that guy on the program, he said, "No, it's not a mean-hearted or mean-spirited or anything." That was a lie. That was a lie. It is mean-spirited, and it is not all in good fun. It is like, let's hurt this person, and I don't appreciate that. I don't get where the need for that is. Like, and again, coming back to the reaction video thing, none of the people I see doing reaction videos have done anything. Like, you don't you don't do anything. It's like basically, hey, I'm gonna watch some television tonight. Would you like to come over and watch me watch television? I'll stop it every fucking 10 seconds and tell you what I think about it. Would you like to do that? But people like that. On the internet, they'll run to that. But if I called you up and said, "Hey, DD, I'm gonna watch the award show tonight. Why don't you come over and watch me watch the award show, and then I'll tell you why I think it's stupid."
And I have no desire. You know what the funny thing is? I didn't even enjoy me doing it. I couldn't even do it. You know, there's a band that I like. It's called Sensation Alex Harvey Band. They're not around anymore because Alex Harvey actually died a long time ago. And the band broke up. I think
And the band broke up.
And the Zal Clemenson, he plays for a band called Sin Dogs now. But I really like the Sensation Alex Harvey Band. They were very, very influential in, even though they were music, Alex Harvey was very influential in the way I perform comedy because of the way he does the stage presence. So quite frankly, my stage presence is based on his stage presence when he performed music.
Do you know of a guy named, you probably are not aware of this, but I'll just throw it out there anyway in case. Are you aware of a YouTuber called Too Lazy to Try, with the number Too Lazy to Try?
No, I know what a tuber is, though. That's like a potato or a yam.
Well, a YouTuber is a different thing. But
okay,
he's one of a reaction video guy, but he's one of the ones I appreciate because Too Lazy to Try, he puts it right out there in his handle. Like he kind of talks like a Jeff Spicoli kind of, like let's watch Joe Rogan. You know, it seems like Rogan is, but he's got this kind of Too Lazy to Try. He never shows his face. And he's just kind of, and his icon is George Costanza there sitting in a chair eating popcorn. So it kind of, that fits his persona. And he's just making fun of comedy podcasts and stuff like that. Pretty good commentary for a guy who's too lazy to try. There are some good ones out there, reaction ones that I've seen. Now, I haven't watched this guy in a while, but he was commenting on Joe Rogan and Tim Dillon, the one that we were sort of commenting on yesterday. This idea about Dylan going to Riyadh and Rogan asking him why he's going to Riyadh as a gay man, a very gay man who, you know, a lot of people wouldn't necessarily think he's gay because he's just too fat and stupid. He's not stupid. He's intelligent. He's just goofy. Goofy is a better word than stupid. But you don't think, you know, he looks like a dude. He doesn't look like a guy who's trolling for cock.
But on the other hand, because in that part of the world, you can get young boys for sex, and it's how should I put it? It's acceptable, but it's not public.
Steven just left the bank for some reason. I don't know where he's going. He looks like he's heading towards the airport.
He's going back home to get his passport.
I'm sorry, Steven. I'll stop joking about your little proclivities there. I meant to do that when you left the show, but it's a residual thing.
Yeah, it's like it's acceptable, but it's not public. It's like like closet. It's like closeted, I guess.
They don't stone you to death. Well, they stone you.
I think they stone you if it's made public, but it's not uncommon.
Wow. All right. So yeah. But a lot of these comedians are going over there and doing this whole Riyadh thing, and people are like, doesn't seem. Except for the money, there doesn't seem to be any real upside to that. And like even Louis C.K. is going over there now. They know, I wonder if they know in Saudi Arabia what Louis C.K.'s scandal was. They're probably all for that, right? Yeah, it's okay to jerk off in front of strange women or women who work for you or whatever.
But they're not Muslim women, so they don't care.
Is that my bad, really bad Muslim voice? It's okay. No, that sounds like a 7-Eleven Indian guy, right?
That doesn't even sound like a real. That sounds like a white guy who wants to get hired at a 7-Eleven. So that's the voice he uses.
Whoa. You know, somebody made me take a survey yesterday about television.
They made you take a survey?
Well, yes, because it's part of a membership to something, and they would not let you couldn't click off the fucking site without taking the survey.
Wait a minute, when did the Klan start making you take surveys to join?
It's not. This was different than the Klan. The Klan
Oh,
thing
okay.
was something else. Because Carlos said he was. Carlos Valencia said he was invited to Riyadh, but he was doing some other kind of racist MAGA thing. And I said, I feel a little small time. All I get to do is my local Klan rallies. I mean, that's not. I feel jealous. But yeah, so they're making me take all these television commercials, like watch this commercial, and then a bunch of questions in it. The questions were always, were women portrayed respectably in this video? And 4 questions about how women were portrayed, whether there were women in the video or not, and then about men. And so it's like, why are we so obsessed with finding out how people feel about how genders are respected? And they call it did they sell us off for the almighty dollar? It appears that way, but
and see, and I don't think they had souls to sell to begin with, because if they
well,
really had
some of them did. Bill Burr, I think, is as angry as Bill Burr is. He seems like a guy who is really fair and open-minded. And listen, he's married to a black woman, and he fucking calls out all these guys who were instrumental in him becoming famous for being racist bastards like Anthony Cumia and people like this. So I mean, so Bill Burr, it's not like, and he does call out the anti-woke stuff. Like you're against people who just think people should be respected and all treated equally. You're against that. So he calls that stuff out. But then he goes to Riyadh. Now he doesn't need the money. He's a gazillionaire, right? I don't know if he's like on the Seinfeld billionaire, but he's definitely worth more than $100 million. He doesn't need the check from. So why do it? Unless he thinks.
And the worst thing is, over there, they're doing this. They're investing that money to humanize them. They're because they're into some really bad shit as far as human rights violations go.
Yeah.
And so that's why they're like buying up the sports things like tennis and golf, trying to humanize them. They're sponsoring sporting events. That's what, and getting comedians to go over there. They're trying to make themselves say like, hey, look, guys, we know we have problems with our human rights, but look, your comedians are coming over here, your athletes are coming over here, so we can't be that bad.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. They're buying credibility,
and that's why I won't give them. And that's why I won't give them the money. That's why I won't do it.
Who? I don't think it's.
I mean, that's why I won't. That's why I won't take their money. That's why I won't take their money. I won't do it. I won't humanize them. I will not humanize them.
What they offer you? $99.95 to come over.
$79.95.
Oh, that's disrespectful.
Yeah,
you should at least get.
But I get to pay. I get to choose whatever seat I can afford on the plane over.
Carl's a big Tim Dillon fan. Tim Dillon's probably the lowest paid one going over there for $375,000 to do a set. Whatever. But yeah, a lot of comedians are just when they hear big. You know what? Once they get the first big name, then that attracts another one. And if so and so is doing it, then I'll do it.
Right?
And,
yeah. It normalizes them.
Yeah.
And they have terrible human rights. A terrible human rights record.
So I don't know where it's kind of, if you're going to go down the road of choosing where you're going to perform and have to do, it's not like you have to do a background check in Saudi Arabia. You know what they stand for and what they're all about. But on that level, though, I mean, there are lots of, there's a lot of them, a lot of venue owners who are really bad people. I mean, really bad. Like, beat their wives, drunk losers, and all that. By the way, Trump announced yesterday, I don't know if you caught this, Trump announced September is now National Beat Your Wife Day, Beat Your Wife Month. Did you hear that speech?
No, I didn't hear the speech.
But guy has a little fight with his wife. They want to call the cops or whatever. They want to make that a crime. It's okay. I mean, it's between. Really? You just did the president of the United States normalizing a guy giving his wife a slap or a little punch or two here and there. Just yeah, it
Well,
happens.
I was going to say Trump has already done it. There was a police report filed against him for beating and raping his wife, his then wife,
Right.
Ivana.
They said it couldn't be rape because they were married. I think that was
No, that was what I said about my father.
Yeah. Oh, see, they were. I don't even know if we want to go here, but they were obsessing on this whole thing in the special about your father. Did his father rape him? Is that what he's saying? It's like, oh my God.
Where would they even get that idea?
Because don't worry, son, it gets bigger. Something. They thought your father was offering his cock, and you were depressed because or you were upset that it wasn't that big, and your father saying, "Don't worry, son, it gets bigger." And they were obsessing over it. You know how they get with like every word must have a meaning that they don't understand, and they're just trying to analyze it and pull it apart. Wait, is he saying he was raped by his father? Like, wow.
There's the only thing I can think of two references
Towards the end.
Toward the end.
Yeah.
Wow.
You got like 15 minutes to go tops in this thing. Tops.
I don't remember. Really there was one thing about somebody feeling insignificant, feeling it may have been the anti-gun thing and comparing a gun to a penis or something.
Yeah,
I can't remember. And he goes, I remember something like, "Don't worry, son. It'll get bigger. Do you want to see my gun?" So like saying that he was compensating for because he has a gun like that. But to be honest, and because he doesn't know, I haven't gone into that about my father yet. My father was very well endowed, but he has not gotten to any.
Would he have given Milton Berle a run for his money?
No.
How do you know that? See, we don't really know that. This is like, it's like I asked you,
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Bigfoot.
I'll tell you why. Because my father was black, they would expect it. If he were white, they'd go like, "Wow."
Yeah.
But
no, I'm not even talking about your father. I'm talking about Milton Berle. We assume that the folklore is true about Milton. Milton Berle could have been like this, but we would never know it, right? Because of the folklore it's like Bigfoot. How tall is Bigfoot? Oh, he's really tall. No, you don't.
Well, there are stories about him at the pool. Hanging out beside the pool, and so most of the stories that I've heard about him wearing swim trunks at the pool.
Sunshine says September is also Hawaiian History Month, which is kind of weird because August should be Hawaiian History Month, right? August should be.
No, I think August is Hawaiian Pizza Month.
Well, Hawaii became a state August 30th, 1959, which is also the day I became a human. So there you go. And they put a star on the flag just for me that day.
That's your star. That's your star.
That is my star. You could trust a star to.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. So what were we talking about? Penis size. Yeah, Milton Berle's penis size. I don't know. We'll find out in the next hour, I think, or shortly. Well, I'm going to try to make them hold, because this is our teaser to keep the audience here. You'll find out about Milton Berle's cock at the end of the program.
And Bobcat Goldthwait made a comment about Robin Williams, because there's a scene where Robin Williams dives into the pool naked. And I'm almost positive in the movie, I think Bobcat Goldthwait was a movie that he produced, maybe. And so when it came to that scene, Robin Williams said, "I'll just jump in naked." And Bobcat Goldthwait says, "No wonder you wanted to jump in naked. You had a baby arm in there," or something like that. I can't remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bobcat wouldn't have to have seen it in a movie because Bobcat was like really close with Robin. I think that he described himself as Robin Williams' best friend, which I was surprised to find out.
I've known a few people who said they were Robin Williams' best friend.
Well, I know that they went to the Academy Awards together. Like he sat next to him at the Academy Awards a lot. And one of the stories because Bobcat talks about how they both obsessed about suicide, and they would joke about suicide all the time. And I forget what Patch Adams, one of these movies where Robert Williams got an award for it. He does his acceptance speech, and the second he gets back to the seat, Bobcat says to him, "Congratulations. So how would you do it?" Why do I got phone things going on here? Stop calling me in the middle of the show, unless I ask for phone call. Yeah, a lot of people say they're best friends with lots of, like I was best friend. I don't know if you know this about me, but I was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 10 years. Close, but besties.
I was best friends with John Beavers for about a day.
Good. Yeah, it seems like you guys have a kind of a bromance. No, a little bromance or is it over? It's over.
No. I think I'm going to be on their. I'm going to be doing their podcast on Friday.
This Friday?
I think so.
Everybody's been on that podcast except for me.
You've been invited many times. You don't start that shit. You've been every time you say I have. Last time you did that, John was right there in the chat room going, "Yes, you bet. I invited you 3 times or whatever it is." So
I don't recall that.
Yeah, you've been invited.
I'm a terrible guest. You would know, but I'm a I don't know. I'm a terrible host, but I'm a worse guest. I shouldn't be doing this at all. I should just fire myself and just be gone, right?
That reminds me, I need to call Alan Katz to find out.
What's going on with that? You're like 97 episodes in, all in the can. You're not releasing any.
No, I think we got 4 episodes in the can. I think he wants one more, and I know we're doing one on the 15th, and that will probably be the one we need to say, okay, let's start doing them. Let's start putting them out there.
All right. Now, do you know how you're gonna put them out there? Is it audio only, video? What?
It's audio only. That I do know. So it's audio only. So it'll be like on Spotify and stuff like that.
So who is who's responsible for setting? Is he setting this up? You setting this up? Or
he's doing all the heavy lifting.
I wonder if he understands, because clearly you don't. And this is not a put down on you. But if I look at all your social media, your YouTube channel, you clearly don't give a fuck about the algorithm or how to tweak it or how to make how to get it to work for you and all this stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you don't give a fuck. But it seems to me like if one of you has to give a fuck.
He does. Now he actually cares, and because it's for him, it's a business. He has like several podcasts.
I did not
he
know.
He likes podcasting. He has several podcasts. And what is like he'll pick up there's a journalist, a photojournalist. He just did like a 6-episode podcast with the photojournalist. Okay, now ours is going to be like running pretty much until one of us dies, I guess. And again, unfortunately, he thinks he finds me a funny and amusing person to talk to.
Wow.
And to work with.
You know what? That's good for you. But again, that is I really wish a certain person would acknowledge that. Just because
I did acknowledge it. I just acknowledged that. No,
not you. I'm talking about the people who hate on you, of course. But it's not that I don't. Again, coming back to this Marcus Aurelius thing, we shouldn't care what a person thinks or says or does. But for me, I just kind of there is again. You don't, and no, but none of us do. None of us create content for the people who hate us. We create content for the people who do appreciate what we do. And if you're not one of them, that's fine. You don't have to be. But don't assume that everybody is like you, and that just because this is not for you, that everybody should, I don't know, hate on it, or whatever it is. There's lots of people in the public eye that I don't get why people think they're great, but people do think they're great. Tim Dillon is one of them. Tim Dillon is one of those people I like. This guy's got a podcast, but what makes him any different than any other of these yappity and comedians who think all of a sudden they're political scientists or something because they have an opinion. An opinion doesn't make you an expert in anything, and that's a whole other where this idea of like ignore the experts. So you want us to ignore the experts, which means only pay attention to non-experts. That doesn't seem like a good prescription for getting to like good information. There's only don't pay attention to experts. Forget the people who've dedicated their lives to learning about something. Let's hear from comedians who just read about it on or Googled something and got results that fit their personal viewpoint to begin with. Let's just trust them. It's a very weird kind of platform, hill to die on. Fuck the experts. Let's go with the idiots, right?
Yeah.
It's time. Dan's supposed to be here now. I'm not getting an email from him. I'm wondering if he's a New York guy, even though I think he's in Hollywood now. But he should know the time zone stuff, right?
I would think.
I would think too. So well, that's it. I don't even have news to play while we wait. How about that?
Now I listened to John Beaver's most recent podcast. He talked about his adventures with Jackie. He and Swan talked about their adventures with Jackie. And that was a pretty good podcast.
Adventures with Jackie. Sounds like
I don't think that's what they called it. That's just me.
No, I like it though. It sounds like a maybe we could get Dan Pasternak to produce a show for one of these cable networks that he's on. He produces shows for, or he's produced shows for network. Why can't we get Adventures with Jackie as part of? No, I'm wrong. None of it makes any sense.
And then each week you do a different Jackie.
Oh yeah, we could do that. So do you know? Because I got a thing from Slaptail about offers to collaborate on Instagram, and I don't know how to fucking accept that. I don't know what to do with it. Do you know anything about it? I mean,
I usually just accept. I just hit accept, and I think what happens is when he posts stuff on Instagram, it'll give us an opportunity to comment on it or something like that.
I don't think I saw an accept or anything. I know Peppercat asked me to list her as a collaborator. It took me like a day to figure out how do I do that, and I did. But when I got this thing from Slaptail, it invited you to be a collaborator on something, and I looked and I like, how do I even accept this? I don't know. There's no accept. What do I do? And then
I thought it was pretty simple. Just like literally, there was like something they ask if you and accept it, and I think after that, like anything he posts, you get like copied on, and then you can share it or whatever. I'm not sure exactly how that differs from like being a follower.
Yeah.
But
I think it gets to show more people see it, but whatever, I don't know. But I couldn't figure out how to even accept it. Going back there now. And I'm not. I thought it was the Jackie podcast, which I started to listen to. I haven't gotten all the way through it. You know what? I feel I'm not taking credit for this, but I feel grateful that Jackie, because somebody who's really not tuned into show business, so you're doing a lot for to kind of make Jackie relevant again. Nah, that's not really true. But I'm glad to see he's making some new connections with some younger people who might,
yeah, now that was good. Half the audience was under 100. No, half the audience was under 40. I would think.
I would think millennials are his demographic because those are the people who were. It was too naughty. You weren't supposed to be listening to Howard Stern. The parents probably didn't want them listening to Howard Stern when they were a kid, but they did. And they became fans of Jackie when they were young. When they were young, not when Jackie was young. Jackie was probably already 40 at the time. But now they're mid-30s, 40 years old. And Jackie's kind of like their childhood
grandpa.
Dirty
Well, yeah,
old.
or their childhood guilty pleasure or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're grateful for your help making. Oh, thank. No, I appreciate that. I wasn't efficient, but I'm grateful for the idea that Jackie is now taking a liking to some of these young. Now, Zach Wiseman, I hooked Zach Wiseman up with uh, Jackie, and he was not. He loved Jackie. He was so grateful for getting a chance to host the show because I had to go work on a film. And I said, Zach, can you host it in the morning? Oh, yeah, Jackie Martley, I love him. Thank you so much for the opportunity, blah, blah, blah. And then that afternoon, he texted me queer.
Yeah, that means he liked you.
Yeah, that's exactly what I tried to say. But Zach took offense to that. Like, yeah, it's like, what is he, a homophobe? I was like, no, he's trying to say you're one of the guys, man.
You're
I
one of the
like
good ones. You're one of
Yeah,
the good ones.
he's not gay,
No.
but it wouldn't make a difference. It's just like put off by him calling him a queer. I was like, well, that's Jackie. It's not being mean. He's trying to say I like you. That's how Jackie says I like you. Let's be friends.
Now, one of the things that I'm trying to, somebody commented that his ex-wife and his current girlfriend are like still like hang out together, and they were making that sound like it was so unusual.
It's so
And,
unusual.
and
Yeah, I think
I mean, it would be unusual in my case because I mean, before, well, no, none of them actually did hang out together. I mean, they knew that I still hung out with some of them, at least up until like my wife Carol knows that I was still friends with people that I was involved with, except for my ex-wife. My ex-wife burned that bridge and the river it crossed.
Yeah.
She
I'm emailing Dan. I'm just saying because he just emailed me in the middle of the night. I'm just wondering if there's a time zone issue or where he is right now. It's I got all excited about the big revelation, the big story about his sighting. Oh,
Here he is.
here he is now. All right, I'm going to botch this because this man needs really no introduction, but he does need a lengthy introduction at the same time. It's kind of weird. He's a legend. Too young to be a legend, but still a legend in the entertainment business as far as producing and actually performing. Started, believe it or not, another guy who started in the comedy world because of music in a funny way. Part of being featured Dr. Demento as a child, writing into sending songs into Dr. Demento. Dan Pasternak was the founding and head of Beach TV, where he developed and produced television and digital products for Comedy Central, ABC, Stars, AMC, CISO, which I'm not familiar with, and Fusion. Prior to BBTV, Pasternak was VP of Development and Production for the IFT Cable Network, where he oversaw the development of Portlandia, which my friend Christine Levine was on. And he's here now to enlighten us with some interesting facts about music, television history, and comedy history. Good morning, Dan. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. I love Christine. Oh my God, she's hilarious.
Oh yeah. You know what? She's going through some health issues, but I think it's not as serious as she went through. A couple of years ago, we did a podcast-a-thon when she was dealing with cancer, stomach cancer, and she got. We were able to raise enough money for her to get the care she needed, and I'm really appreciative of that.
That's
Christine's
great.
one of the most lovely
Thank you
people.
for doing that for her. Yeah, I know she went through it, but last I saw her, she had lost a bunch of weight, and she seemed like she was in love, and she looked
She's in
terrific.
love. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Love will cure a lot of things too, right?
Well, love is 50-50. It could cure you. It could also ruin your wallet.
By the way, Dan, I never do this, but I'd like to introduce you to Gigi Fenderson, the award winner of the worst comedy special of all time.
All time.
Of all time.
A pleasure to meet you, GD.
You know what? There's so much that I'm interested in you, and I have teased the fact, and I hope we will wait till the end, but this is to keep people waiting, that I have talked to many Bigfoot sightings, UFO sighting people over the years and tried to get some real concrete information. You have you are a witness, a two-time witness to a legendary beast.
I
that,
am.
I would love to keep people hanging on the edge of the seat because I would love you to get us to
Sure,
talk about that.
the famous or infamous photo of the Loch Ness monster.
Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. Anyway, you know what? The re-releases.
No, you sure that was a Loch Ness monster and not somebody swimming on their back up Periscope?
You know what? Stay tuned, GD. You will be pleased where this goes. I promise you.
As long as it doesn't go someplace uncomfortable for me.
No, it will be uncomfortable, but you'll like it.
Yeah. Now, the Dr. Demento thing, which is something I only found out about in the middle of the night last night. This is interesting to me. You were in middle school or something and sent in songs that got featured on Dr. Demento?
So I am fortunate that I grew up in Los Angeles. I always like to say that geography was a major force in helping to propel me forward. And so one of the many things that I was blessed with in my childhood was that Dr. Demento was an LA-based radio show. Yes, it was nationally syndicated, but I will tell you, for those of you who did not grow up in LA, you may have heard a 2-hour version of the show with a funny 5. Because I grew up in LA, I got a 4-hour version of the show Sunday nights on KMET from 6 to 10 p.m. with a top 10. And he was local. So that meant that he did live remote broadcasts every once in a while. So when I was 11 years old and in the 6th grade, I went to the famous Tower Records on the Sunset Strip for a live broadcast of the Dr. Demento show where I met the good doctor, many members of his crew, people that were sort of in sort of the satellite orbit of the Dr. Demento show, the heads of the then very new Rhino Records. Richard Foose and Harold Bronson were at this broadcast. Brian Wilson was at Tower Records just shopping, coincidentally, while this is all going on. So picture this with a very short, very slight version of what you're looking at with a much higher pitched voice. And I was like Alice, and this was Wonderland to me. And for some reason, the doctor took enough of a liking to me to put me on mic. May 18th, 1980. I went on the show, and it was love. I was a misfit kid. I was like a little comedy nerd. I sort of didn't know where I belonged. And this felt like a world that if they'd let me in, I wanted to be part of. So that summer, I worked for my mom. My mom at that time was in the clothing manufacturing business. So she had a factory in downtown LA. And I would, during the summer, in my break, between 6th and 7th grade, would get up every morning, go down, work on the loading dock, building and packing boxes. She paid me, I think, $2 an hour out of petty cash, until I had enough money that I could press 500 copies of 2 songs, singing, playing the guitar, funny songs, gave it to Dr. Demento, hoping maybe he'd play it once. He premiered it on his next live broadcast. It was in Pomona at the LA County Fair, October 5th, 1980, my father's birthday. I went down. He interviewed me again on the air, played the song. 3 weeks later, it cracked the Dr. Demento top 10 at number 9, I believe immediately following the late, great Tom Lehrer's We Will All Go Together When We Go, which was number 10 that week.
Wow. So you were a star at that point. And we'll just because I think you if you watch any of that Robert Klein thing, you see that I am starstruck. Robert Klein was one of my heroes, and but the reason I'm bringing that up is people who grew up in your environment lost that ability, lost the need to be starstruck because you were surrounded by it all the time. It was like oxygen. You're seeing stars everywhere, right? So
it was very normal, and in a way, not that I wasn't. I mean, I was starstruck by Dr. Demento because he was so important to me, but I mean, I still feel still a dear friend. Barry Hansen, God bless you. He's still an important human being in the world to me. And when I see him, my heart still swells. So is that being starstruck? Maybe it is. But I went to school. So this would have been the 1970s when I'm starting to sort of matriculate through schools in Los Angeles. And my classmates were all the children of the biggest stars of that period. So Carol Burnett's daughters were in my class, and Bob Newhart's kids, Don Rickles' kids, Melissa Rosenberg before she later became Melissa Rivers and took her mom's last name. These were all people I was in like 4th, 5th, 6th grade with.
Right.
My buddy Matt Burns, who's my financial guy, he helps me with all my investments at Merrill Lynch. His dad was the late great Alan Burns, who was the co-creator of the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and wrote all of the great Jay Ward cartoons like Rocky and Bullwinkle. Like, this was just normal. These were the people that like were dropping their kids off at school when my mom or dad were dropping me off.
Right. So in junior high school, when you had the hits with Dr. Demento, it probably was not the same as if a small town kid, say in Dubuque, Iowa, or something, got the same.
No. I was a huge star. It took a while. I mean, I think I got laid like 6 years later, but it definitely was.
Well, investment.
No question.
Yeah.
No question.
But now that's a great upbringing. Were your parents in show business?
No. I came from very middle class, sort of hardworking, like, first generation American Jews. Like, so, my grandparents were all immigrants. My mom, was first generation, grew up in Brooklyn, grew up over a fish store in Brooklyn, and then was in the schmata business. So she was in retail. She was in manufacturing for that little brief period I mentioned earlier. Went back into retail and was the store manager of the Bullocks, which later became Macy's store at the Beverly Center in LA. And then my dad was a CPA, his parents never learned to speak English, or not very well anyway. But my dad, who loved language, could speak 5 or 6 languages, I think. He, also from New York, born in the Bronx, went out to LA when he was in the Army during World War II, because at UCLA they had a language program. They knew he spoke many languages. He became an interpreter for Nazi POWs, which is kind of a rough gig for a Jew.
Wow.
So he became an interpreter for Nazi POWs. So he spoke German, Russian, Polish, Hungarian,
Yugoslavian, which doesn't exist anymore, but there were a lot of those.
Yes, he did. And he said that English was like his 5th language. Like, his mom basically told him, he was worried about going to school when he was 5 years old, living in the Bronx, kind of like right off Grand Concourse. And his mom said, well, go out on the street, the other children will teach you how to speak English.
Wow.
Now, I don't know anything about your father. I just would imagine it would be very hard to be an interpreter. Let's put it this way. If I had to interpret someone who had done my ancestors and my family that kind of wrong, everything I interpret would sound like a confession. They could be saying, could you please have me fix me some eggs, please? And I would say, he says he killed 400 people personally. No matter what he says, he was like, where's the bathroom? I'd say, he just said he buried the bodies in the backyard. Everything would be terrible.
GD, I wish you could have met my dad. I have a feeling you two would have gotten along famously.
So let me just kind of put my little Long Island, Brooklyn idea on this. Your parents probably wanted you to grow up to be a doctor or a lawyer, and you decided.
They knew that was not in the cards for me.
Okay.
Jackie Mason had that bit about every Jewish mother wants her kid to be a doctor. Every kid, should be a doctor. If he's not so bright, maybe a lawyer. If he's completely retarded, an accountant. And of course, my dad was an accountant. He hated
Right.
that joke. But I wasn't even that bright. I was a terrible student, and I was diagnosed at a very early age with what is now commonly referred to as ADHD. I was on Ritalin, I was on Cylert, I was on all of this different stuff. I had OCD, which, I mean, all of which I'm still plagued by. So not a great student, disruptive in school, but loved comedy, loved film and TV, and all of this stuff. My ADHD and everything. I've been a lifelong insomniac. So in addition to Dr. Demento, like KTLA Movies Till Dawn. Oh, they're playing Jerry Lewis movies all night. They're playing all of the Marx Brothers film. I'm up all night. Every Danny Kaye movie, you name it. And of course, like it was one of the things I bonded with my dad over. Some kids bonded, with their parents over sports. We had a little bit of that. I was a big Laker fan, but for the most part, it was like watching The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson with my dad. So all of that stuff had tremendous meaning for me. So I just had to sort of figure out, like, okay, where do I fit into all of this stuff? Because I love it so much.
Right.
My question for you, since you talked about watching the late night comedies, do you have any Three Stooges induced injuries? Because they did a lot of the eye stuff, and
Sure.
I mean, a lot of kids like broke arms, legs, got eyes. I mean, do you have any injuries from watching those things?
I did not sustain any slapstick-induced injuries, GD, if that's what you're asking.
Yes.
I was largely friendless, so if my imaginary friend smacked me in the head like Mo, it didn't hurt so much.
Wow.
Not as much. Okay.
Now, I struggle to do an intro for you because there's so much. I'm just wondering how because you've done stand-up, you've acted, you've done all that stuff, but you're mostly known as two things. I think a producer and a television historian. And you're an adjunct professor at NYU, which I'd love to take that course. But how would you define yourself if I had to nail it down to, like, what is your self-perception of where your role is in all?
What do you want your epitaph to say?
Yeah.
Oh God, what do I want my epitaph to?
Let me just say, how should I have introduced you this morning? Would be a better way.
You know what? So I'm very fond of alliterative couplets. So I always say producer, programmer, preservationist, and professor.
So you like Pete?
Dan Pasternak, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's sort of easy to remember, and there's an old line that it's a classic chestnut that I like to use, which is, I never know what kind of work I'm out of, because I like sort of doing all of this stuff, and lately, I think it was really right before COVID struck that I had this sort of moment where I said, all of this stuff has been sort of on the side or back burner for me for a very, very long time. Teaching was something I very much wanted to do, and a lot of the historical preservation was something. I've been a part of this project for the TV Academy for 30 years. It was originally launched as the Archive of American Television. It's now called, innocuously enough, The Interviews.
Right.
And I've interviewed Milton Berle and Sid Caesar and Jonathan Winters and Bob Newhart and Mickey Rooney and Bernie Brillstein and just tons and tons of people. And these are long oral history interviews where you sit with these people sometimes over multiple sittings for 4 or 5. I did one with Robert Smigel that was 9 hours.
Wow.
And they're really meant to be, a historical document of what these people have contributed to the industry. And, obviously that's a very involved process, and the research is intensive and expansive. So, I've always done this kind of stuff. I just sort of thought, I've spent 20, 25, almost 30 years making TV, but all this other stuff I haven't had as much time for. So I'm doing more of it now, and it's now occupying the lion's share of my time.
I'm an
So is
old
one of
dude.
your P's a polymath then? Would that be one of your P's?
Sure, why not? Throw it in. I was on a podcast recently, and it was pointed out to me that I'm also a podcaster and a punster. So there you go.
There you
Let's
go. Oh,
stack
before we
the
go any
P's like
further,
pancakes.
can we say some puffery? Some nice things about Elizabeth Croydon, Queen Elizabeth, as I like to call her, because
Oh yeah,
Make
no.
Sure Dan says some nice things about her. So I have to.
Elizabeth is a fascinating and brilliant individual. I'm a
There
big
you
fan.
go. That's a soundbite right there. I'm just gonna just put that all over the internet.
Yeah. Send it.
I mean, she also is as multifaceted as anybody you'll ever meet. I mean,
Yeah.
her political activism alone could be, an expansive interview.
Every interaction, I find out something that surprises me about her that I did not know. So there you go.
Years
She's
ago,
a
I saw
martial
her.
artist, and she's a comic, and it could go on and on and on.
Yeah, a question for you about this history stuff, though, because I'm wondering if it breaks your heart as much as it does break my heart. Now, GD is in the comedy business. He calls himself a certified forensic humorist, but he's a comedian.
No, I'm a humorist. There's a difference. There's a standard difference.
Fine, we'll get past that. A lot of young comedians, and he's not.
The difference is about $500,000 a year, right?
Right. I often tease him about his lack of knowledge about comedy and the business of comedy. But historically, I think he knows most of those people you just named. But I find that, and it breaks my heart to some degree, that a lot of people who are young in comedy now, 20s, 30s, even 40s, have no idea who people like Sid Caesar or Jonathan Winter. They don't know the history of comedy. And that breaks my heart. Do you sense any of that? Like, it's important to know?
Of course. And look, there's a lot of reasons for that. I think chiefly one of the main reasons is I'm going to guess that we're all of about the same vintage here. So what I'm going to speak to as an experience, I'm going to assume was universal. But when I was a kid, you came home from school, and if you turned on the TV, what you saw, what I saw in LA, what you saw wherever you grew up, was probably the same stuff, which is we all came home and had a snack and watched the programs that our parents grew up watching. So we had a kind of cultural literacy that was a shared base of knowledge. We knew I Love Lucy, although it was from years before we were born. We knew the Honeymooners. We knew some of the lesser historic, but certainly no less enjoyable shows like Gilligan's Island and Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie. All of these shows that were made before I was born, we knew them because they were on, and we watched them because that's what was on. And choice is a wonderful thing, and anybody can watch anything now, and that's amazing. But it's all available all the time, and there is so much new coming at people all the time that there is a cultural currency for, wait, what's new, what's next, I can't look back, what's no spoilers, it just dropped, what just dropped, all 10 episodes of this new show, you gotta watch it now. My friend James Adomian has this joke about, it's like if someone said, have you ever read Time magazine? No, you have to read all of it now.
Yeah, the binge mentality. And we are content, although everything is lacking content now, we are content addicted to the point where you just got to publish as much as you can, quantity over quality, and just publish all day long and put out.
And so I think part of what I do, and it's become an overused word, is that I curate a bit. I curate things that shouldn't be left out of a cultural conversation, and I try and build some context around this stuff because everything evolves, everything changes. I think it's very, very good that we do generally evolve as a species, but when looking back at something from 20, 30, 50 plus years ago, sometimes what gets left out of that conversation is some context, some nuance, so that we aren't so reactionary. We aren't like, oh God, well that aged badly, let's rip that page out of the history book. And I'm never for that. Like TCM did a wonderful series, I want to say like 3 or 4 years ago, called Reframed, where they showed a bunch of movies that are conveniently all sort of or reductively categorized as problematic for one reason or another. But they said, look, let's talk about why these films are great. Let's also talk about, what the issues are and like address them. Let's address the elephant in the room. And I think that's a great service. It's a great service to help people have these conversations so we don't just, bury stuff in the backyard.
Yeah, I think for the most part, our society is a sucker for the superfluous. We just want to.
That's easy for you to say.
What do you mean, GD?
I knew he was going to say that. It's just for the most part we glam on as a society, not as individuals, but as a society, we want just the glossy stuff, just what's on the surface. We don't want the details and stuff. We don't care. It's like, and that's why clickbait is so successful. They see something catchy, and then all of a sudden it's down the rabbit hole, and they don't learn the thing that they thought they were going to learn when they clicked on it. If they clicked on something that said Matt Napo is interviewing Dan Pasternak, and they click on it, and it goes down to something else where it has nothing to do with either one of you.
Right. And by the way, you're right about one thing, which is that I think clickbait has a tendency to create a bias from point of entry. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I moderated a panel at the South by Southwest Festival in 2022. This was their first South by in, I think, 3 years after lockdown from COVID. And so we started to build this panel around John Cleese, who I'm very privileged to be able to call a friend, and who is, again, it's like Dr. Demento.
I call him a friend too, but I've never met him. But I call him a friend all the time. Just yesterday, I was in the supermarket.
I will let him know that you call him a friend.
I think he knows because I've seen the letter, the restriction order. So.
Oh, the restraining order. Yeah, very good, very good. But we put together this panel, and I was very deliberate in putting together the panel because, John has a reputation for sometimes saying provocative things. So I said, okay, let's just make sure that this panel really, like every voice, like generationally, geographically, in terms of gender, race, as much as can be represented on that stage, let's put it together. And we're not talking about anybody who's not on that stage. You know what I mean? And so it was me and John and Dulce Sloan from The Daily Show and Ricky Velez and Jim Gaffigan. So you really had a range of ages and generations and just perspectives. And it was fantastic. It is one of my favorite experiences I've ever had on a stage. John said it was his favorite experience he'd had on a stage since the Python reunion at the O2. Wow. And I mean, he said that publicly. So, I mean, I'm very honored by that. But we really got into it. So at one point, Ricky Velez, I prompted this out of Ricky. It's one of my favorite jokes of his. He says, I'm Irish and Puerto Rican. He says, I'm glad that I'm not gay, only because that would be too many parades to go to. Which is a great joke. And it's, as constructed, it's very much like a Freddie Prinze joke. If you're
Ugarican or something.
Hungarican. He was a Hungarican. Exactly. And then John says, well, why aren't there English parades? Dulce Sloan says it's called colonization. And we're just off and running, right? And so John, started saying something about, we didn't invent colonization. And Dulce said, but you were so good at it. It's the reason I'm here. I'm not even supposed to be here. And then John says to Dulce, but we gave you free passage. I mean, it's just, and if you understand comics, you certainly understand the spirit in which that conversation took place. And I think at one point I said to John, don't make me play the Jew card, because obviously we're talking about relative, experiences of struggle and suffering and oppression and whatever. And of course, Ricky then says, roast him. And I said, did you mean that literally? And I mean, that's the conversation we're having. And so if you watch the video from this event, just uproarious laughter. It was so gratifying. And it was cathartic for the audience, too. Like I said, there hadn't been a South by in 3 years. Right. And then a journalist came and wrote about, I say the word journalist, by the way, very loosely, and wrote about this horrible, offensive, cringy event where John Cleese said all of these, awful, provocative things. And by the way, here's a great thing. When I said, don't make me play the Jew card, John was about to tell a Jew joke, and Dulce leaps up and she goes, oh no! And she grabs John Cleese's microphone away from him. Then Ricky Velez hands his microphone to John. She snatches that microphone. Jim Gaffigan hands his mic to John, and Dulce's now standing there with all three of their microphones and just goes, next question. And so it was reported that John's microphone was taken away from him. So the people on the left were, of course, up in arms because John Cleese was saying all of these, horrible, offensive, insensitive things. And the people on the right were outraged that how dare anybody try and silence John Cleese? Right. He's a legend. He should be allowed to speak. And of course, neither of those extreme viewpoints, even though it's what it was in the article, is representative of what happened, nor how it was received. But clickbait, because people are addicted to outrage, unfortunately framed a narrative around this event that was a complete misrepresentation of what happened.
I don't know if there's any way out of that, because in order to get and whatever it is you're producing or publishing, in order to get it noticed, you have to play by the algorithm. The algorithm loves those titles, which are misleadingly outrageous. Every day when I publish something, YouTube says to me, change your title to this. I have an app that's part of my YouTube thing, and it says, change your title to this. And I'm thinking, well, that will help you push it out to more people. But that's not really what my piece is about. But you're saying I have to do that in order to play in your playground here. And so I don't know if there's any way out of that. This misleading titles and viewpoint, they're encouraging us to say outrageous things rather than just say what really happened. So
I'm a big believer in media literacy. I'm a big believer that people need to understand how to decode what they're being fed before they digest it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. On the curator front, now this is where we get to the stuff that we want people to really take note of. I am going on October 18th to the King's Theater in Brooklyn to see a screening of I Like Me, the John Candy documentary. But you also have a couple other things that we want to talk about. The re-release of a couple of classic movies, Airplane and Stand By Me. Yeah.
Now, first of all, let me make sure. Did you get your tickets yet for the Brooklyn show?
I was going to order it right after, because I just found out about there's going to be a Brooklyn date. So I thought right after this program.
So pre-sale is live right now. Use the pre-sale code in all caps, I like me, ILIKEME, all one word, I like me. Use that pre-sale code today and today only. General on sale tomorrow for I Like Me. It's a documentary, brand new documentary about John Candy. It'll be premiering on Amazon a few days after that event, but we are doing a live screening on a big screen, and then a conversation with the producer that I'll be moderating, Ryan Reynolds, and there may be a surprise guest or two.
That's if I can make it. That's if I can make it.
You heard it here first. Steve Martin will be there. I'm lying, maybe.
You know what? I'm not saying he won't be there.
Yeah, me neither. I'm not saying he won't be there. But they're used to me lying anyway. So in case it is not true, then they can just blame me, not Dan. Dan did not say that. I said it. So I'm taking you off the hook there. But Ryan Reynolds. Was he even born when John Candy was he seemed too young to really have a full appreciation for John Candy.
No, Ryan really grew up with John Candy. Now, here's the interesting thing. So Ryan and I are not that far apart in age, believe it or not. He just looks a lot better.
Wow.
But I've known Ryan for about 25 years when I was in one of my many creative executive jobs in the TV business. We were working on a multicam sitcom on the Fox lot. And on the next stage over was a young actor that I later got to know named Ryan Reynolds, shooting his show, Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. And that was sort of late 90s. He was, freshly immigrated from Canada, super funny, super talented and smart, and just sort of figuring it all out. And again, we've known each other about 25 years. We got sort of more acquainted through this group that our friend Jay Kogan, the TV writer Jay Kogan, started I don't even know what you would call it. It's sort of before there were chat rooms. It was like an online bulletin board by invitation only, and it was about 400 of sort of the smartest, funniest people he knew, and me, because I was an executive who had his deal at our studio at the time. But I got to know Ryan really well through that group, and so ran into Ryan last year. Hadn't seen him in a while, and he said, "Hey, are you still teaching that class at NYU?" And I said, "Oh yeah." He says, "I want to come speak to your class." And I said, "Well, Ryan, it's about developing TV shows." And he goes, "Well, I've worked in TV. Don't you think I know about TV?" And I'm like, it was like he was like, trying to convince me he needed to come talk to my class. I was like, "Hey, of course you can come talk to my class, Ryan Reynolds."
Yeah.
So he came and talked to my class, and he mentioned that he was producing this documentary about John Candy. Ryan loves John Candy in a really deep and meaningful way. I mean, I think that there's something about what John Candy represents as a comedian, as an actor, as a Canadian for Ryan. There was something. At one point I said, "Why did you feel this compulsion to make this documentary?" And he said something that wasn't really about who John Candy was on screen. He said, "John Candy was a good person when no one was looking." And I thought that really says a lot, especially right now. And I think Ryan is very conscious of the fact of just the times we're living in. And I think making stuff that's all about joy. And this is an incredibly joyful documentary. So in the documentary, he's got from the world of John Candy, he has John's widow, John's two kids, Chris and Jen. He's got Dan Aykroyd, Steve Martin, Bill Murray, Macaulay Culkin, Dave Thomas, Catherine O'Hara, Eugene Levy. I'm probably leaving people out, and I apologize because it is such a complete portrait of the man. And it's a very intimate, it's a very personal film. It's a way more personal movie than I thought it was just going to be. We're just going to sort of breeze through his life and, SCTV and his films. And tragically, he died very young. It's so much more. And Colin Hanks directed it, Tom Hanks' son. Oh, and of course, Tom is also in the film because they were in Splash together, which was really John's breakout film. So anyway, when I said to Ryan, he was making this film, I said, "Do you have a theatrical window for it?" And he said, no, we're making it for Amazon. And I said, "This feels like a film that needs to be seen in that sort of communal experience of getting a lot of people together in a venue and watching it together and having the experience of watching and feeling John Candy together." and he loved the idea. And so I have a consultancy with an live entertainment company called Mills Entertainment. They're terrific, and they tour John Cleese, among other people. They tour William Shatner, and so of course they loved this idea. So I set up a Zoom with Ryan and the people at Mills, and everybody got along famously. And now here we are, just a couple of weeks away from doing this tour.
Well, we have a question from the chat room. Slaptail Squad says, I missed it. Does Dan have a podcast about comedy history?
I have done a couple of different things about comedy history. I did a number of audio documentaries for SiriusXM. Because I have OCD, I often say that I have obsessive comedy disorder, but I literally have clinical OCD. So I did these obsessive comedy disorder audio documentaries for SiriusXM. I did one about the history of the Comedy Grammy Award, on which I had Bob Newhart, Jim Gaffigan, Weird Al Yankovic, Tiffany Haddish, Louis Black, Kelly Carlin, George Carlin's daughter, Sarah Silverman, D.L. Hughley, a bunch of people. It was great.
Yeah.
Really proud of that. And then I did one about the history of the 80s comedy boom. I think these are still available, by the way, on demand if you have SiriusXM. And so I did this audio documentary about the history of the 80s comedy boom, which I started with our friend, Mr. Robert Klein, because I feel like nobody was more influential for that sort of 80s comedy boom generation than Klein. I mean, when I came into comedy, the big three in terms of stand-up influence at that moment seemed to be Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Robert Klein. That was like the big three. And so anyway, I had Klein, I had Reiser, I had Leno, I had a lot of people who are no longer with us, Bob Saget, Gilbert Gottfried, Judy Tenuta, Louis Anderson. I mean, sadly, a lot of these people have since passed, so I'm really glad I got their stories.
Wow.
And then Paul Provenza and I did a 10-episode audio documentary, a 10-episode podcast, rather, forgive me, that was slightly less produced, but we only did 10 episodes of that.
And you did the Green Room. You were a guest on the Green Room, weren't you? Or at one point, Paul Provenza's show. I think you were. I thought.
I appear in a couple of episodes for those who are sharp-eyed and know what I look like. Paul was putting that show together, and again, I refer to Paul as my comedy life partner. And when he was putting the show together, for Paul, it's really the alchemy of the casting of that show. And he wanted to do an episode with my dear friend, Jonathan Winters. I had introduced Paul to Jonathan, and they got along great. I tried to introduce everybody to Jonathan. Jonathan was always saying to me, there's nobody to play with. And so I would bring him playmates. And I introduced him to Klein. I introduced him to Jimmy Kimmel. I introduced him to Chelsea Peretti and Mark Maron and to Paul Provenza. So Paul said, I want to do an episode of The Green Room about Jonathan, but who should we put in the conversation with Jonathan? I said, well, I've introduced he and Robert. They love each other. So let's see if we can get Klein on there. So I called Robert. The show was shot in LA. Robert's here on the East Coast. So I called Robert up. Robert famously says no to everything, especially these days. But at that point, he was still suggestible. He was still like you could twist his arm a little bit. But I called him and I said, Provenza's doing the show, The Green Room. He'd love to have you on. And I could hear Klein going into no mode. He was like, well, I just had some dental work and blah. But Robert has always said his two biggest comedy influences were Lenny Bruce and Jonathan Winters. So I said, well, you'd be doing it with Jonathan. He said, when do I have to be there? Like, it went from no to yes. Like all I had to say were the two magic words, Jonathan and Winters. And he was, so it's Paul with Jonathan and Klein, and then Rick Overton. GD, you must know Rick, right?
We're close like this, two peas in a pod.
Are you?
Yeah.
I can see you guys hanging.
As a matter of fact, I'm petting his cat now. I'm cat sitting for him because he had something to do. So busy that he couldn't take me with him, but he left me his cat to watch.
Oh, well, he's like that.
Yeah.
Well, Overton, I also introduced to Jonathan, or I think he had worked with Jonathan once before, but Paul, Rick, and I had gone up to Santa Barbara and spent a really magical day with John. So I said, oh, we should get Overton for that too. So anyway, I was already here living on the East Coast, but I flew out for like less than 24 hours just to be there for the taping. And Overton and I do a bit on that episode, but mostly I was just there to bask in Jonathan having this platform. And of course he was amazing. I mean, he was, well into his 80s at this point. He physically was having a lot of problems, but he was sharp to the end and really funny and just received all the love you could imagine that was in that room.
And now you just overwhelmed me with a bunch of names and people that I don't think I would be able to control my fanboy personality to around. And this is why I was saying, growing up in LA, you would desensitize to this idea of just gushing over Jonathan Winters, just to be in the same room with him, even if he never spoke to me. I think I would be ready to die after that. I mean, there's no other goal in life than to get to be in a conversation with some of these people. And you just rattled off probably 30 or 40 of them that would all just reduce me to a pile of mush. So,
Jonathan was really special. Here's the thing that most people don't know about Jonathan. I always like to say his brain made him a genius, but his heart made him my friend. He was one of the most sensitive people I'd ever met, emotionally incredibly available, really thoughtful, really empathic. We had incredibly deep, really intimate conversations for the 10 plus years that we got to be friends. And, even though he would call me up and say, you got to come up here, there's nobody to play with. And the intention was to go and play and have fun. We would sit in this little room in his house and smoke cigars. And we would just, I like to say that there was a room in his house where we both told each other all of our secrets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. What an incredible life and a world of experience you had. Before we get too far from this, the John Candy thing, johncandy.com, we have links in the description. I just want to talk about the other two movies, Airplane and Stand By Me. Now, what's your involvement with those other than moderating? Were you involved in the productions of either of those films?
Of the films, no. But again, through this consultancy I have with Mills Entertainment, that started in kind of an interesting way. So Mills reached out to me, a producer at Mills, a dear friend of mine named Ethan Ullman, who has become a dear friend through Mills, reached out to me to ask me if I would be the moderator for a tour they were doing with Chevy Chase in his film National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. After that experience, they said, gee, we'd love to keep working with you in some way. Let's see if we can work together. Maybe we'll develop some events or some tours together. And, if you want and you're available, you can be the moderator as well. So it just so happens that all three of these are sort of converging at the same time. I am doing this tour with David Zucker of the Zucker Brothers and Robert Hayes, who was the lead, who played Ted Stryker in the film Airplane. David has done a director's cut that will be screening of the film. It's very much like, the Coen brothers did their, cut after it was released of Blood Simple, and, George Lucas did the special edition of Star Wars. These brilliant filmmakers never feel like they quite got it right. Of course, when I told Robert Smigel about this, Smigel was like, oh yeah, there was a lot wrong with that movie. That's all anyone talks about is all the things that are wrong with the movie Airplane. But when you're an artist, you never feel like you're quite done. You never feel like, if only I could have just gone, So anyway, there is a director's cut that will be screening, and then we'll be just talking about the making of that film with David and Robert. And I think that kicks off October 3rd in Seattle. And then I think it picks up again in November when we go to Denver. And then there's 3 dates in Texas. And I believe we're talking about some more dates now. So stay tuned for that. And then Stand By Me. Stand By Me is, to me, it's a film that's never left us. You know, it feels like it is the coming of age film. And it's a thing I've reflected on a lot about why it's so resonant, particularly now. You know, I've been reading a lot. It just seems to be in the conversation about this sort of loneliness epidemic, you know, amongst like adult men. And it seems like that's kind of really the narrative of this movie, that the last line of that film is, "I never had friends like the ones I had when I was 12. Jesus, does anybody?"
Yeah.
And I realized it's the 40th anniversary of the film coming up, and I happen to be friends with Jerry O'Connell. So this started with a conversation between me and Jerry. Jerry said, you know, the three of us, you know, the three surviving of the four boys that are the, you know, the core of the story, he and Will Wheaton and Corey Feldman, he said, the three of us have not done anything together publicly since we made the movie.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, well, we got to make this happen. So sort of one by one, I talked to each of them, and they're all really excited about this. They're all like really excited about this. So
how about the director there, Meathead? What?
Rob Reiner.
Yeah, is he involved in this at all? In this?
Not at the moment. He's out promoting. He's got his new Spinal Tap movie that's opening this week.
Oh, right, Friday. That's this Friday.
Yeah, it was just on Kimmel last night with Spinal Tap.
Wow.
So
I've reserved some of my money. I've reserved some of my money for that movie. I've set aside some of my money for it.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you can save a little to come see Airplane and Stand By Me as well, GD.
If it comes to me, I'm on the East Coast right now. I think that as far east as you come is Texas right now, right?
No. So Stand By Me is going to be I think we're starting in Concord, New Hampshire, and then we go to Red Bank, New Jersey, and then we're in Lynn, Massachusetts.
See, now I first of all, I wanted to say that I agree with you totally about the iconic nature of Stand By Me and what a great movie it was for its time, and that it's still with us. The only reason I question that at all is because about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I said, "You guys want to see a dead body?" And everybody looked at me like, "What the hell are you doing?" I was like, "You don't know that line?" And
you want to hear something funny, and not a lot of people remember this. That line is very cheekily quoted in John Singleton's Boys in the Hood.
Wow. Yeah. So I mean that
Trey, Ricky, and Doughboy as 10-year-olds go to see a dead body by the train tracks.
Wow, very, very cool. And a little bit of trivia there for you folks. Wow, it's just an amazing life you've led. Now, there's so much time. Like I would, if we had endless time, I would love to explore how you get, first of all, to be an intern on Paramount Studios as a kid. It's just like, I just want to go back in time and experience that myself, and how you get through that to performing, to being a producer and all this stuff, to eventually Milton Berle saying to you, "I want you to be my agent, my manager," or whatever he said to you. Like, how does that develop? Was there a strategy behind this, or because I talked to Jackie Martling last week about his career, and he said it's all happenstance. I never planned anything. Things just like the Forrest Gump thing, the leaf floating on the breeze type of thing. With your career, has any of it been strategized, or is it just opportunities present themselves and you say yes to them?
God laughs at our plans. I mean, it's just like, yes, of course you strategize, and of course you try to be intentional. And if you get very, very lucky, sometimes your intentions and your opportunities intersect. Many times, it's just really good fortune. But of course you need to be present and prepared for good fortune. I mean, that's what Sid Caesar said in my interview with him for the TV Academy. He said, it's all luck. He says, but you have to be prepared for luck. So I think that collision has been very kind to me. I'll tell you one intern at Paramount story that's relevant for the John Candy tour, and then I'll tell you a Milton Berle story that I think you'll enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay. So the John Candy story was, My first summer there was 1985 at Paramount. I'm 16 years old. I am just starting to go to comedy clubs. I'm just starting to write jokes for comedians. I'm about to start doing stand-up, although that came slightly after I started writing jokes for comedians. So all of this is sort of happening in my life all at the same time. And I'm trying to be a professional. One of the things, that I think I had to revise at one point, like I collected autographs, all my life from being a little kid to now. But there was a moment where someone said to me, you have to look professional. You have to look like you're supposed to be there. You can't be doing pictures and autographs anymore. But every once in a while, I couldn't contain myself. And John Candy was one of those people. So in 1985, he did a film for Paramount, directed by Carl Reiner, called Summer Rental. So he was on the lot a lot. They'd already shot the movie, so maybe he was there, doing ADR. I mean, I'm trying to remember now, but he was on the lot quite a bit. And every time I would see him, it was summertime in LA. And he was smoking, constantly smoking cigarettes and sweating wherever he was walking. He was really, you could see that it was hard for this guy. And so I had a little golf cart that they gave me as the intern on the lot. So I would pull up to John Candy and, of course, gushed all over him and told him how much I loved him. And he did the Schmengi Brothers for me. And like I said, look, do you need a ride? Can I take you? So I would literally sometimes say, okay, let me take you there. And like, okay, what time are you going to be done? I'll pull up and I'll give you a ride back to your car. Oh, thanks so much. Very sweet, very, very sweet. And so a couple months later, I run into him at the deli at the Beverly Center where my mom worked. There was a deli there called Starkey's Deli. And he was there just by himself. And he said, sit down. So I sat down and just the two of us sat and had lunch. He bought me lunch. I mean, he was the kindest man. So when I started like getting into this documentary, I mean, all those memories came flooding back, and it's so it's such a beautiful love letter to him and an accurate portrait of a really sweet man.
Yeah.
So that was my memory of John Candy.
Yeah,
Milton Berle.
Yeah, please.
So I said, after I started writing jokes for people, and I had some really great opportunities very early on. I would say too early. Some of the people I was writing jokes for started saying, like, this is not a great joke for me. I was 16 years old. It's like, this joke would be funnier coming out of you. Like someone your age should tell this joke. So I had enough jokes that were like, if I was writing jokes for someone, they would say, come on the road with me, like we can write over the weekend and then you can be my opener if you have 20 minutes. And this was, again, the 80s comedy boom. So there was a lot of opportunity to do that. So I eventually entered a comedy competition at a club in Encino, no longer there. It was called the LA Cabaret. And it was the funniest person in the Valley contest. I think out of 8 or 10 finalists, I came in like 12th. Like I was not close to the funniest person in the Valley. I was like the 3rd funniest person in my car. I mean, it was so, but I got into the finals and Milton Berle was one of the judges. And afterwards, of course, I went over to thank Milton Berle and he said, kid, you're funny, but you got a lot to learn. Call me at the Friars Club. I'll buy you lunch. Well, I called him the next day. I figured Milton Berle, he's going to be dead in a week. I'm not going to forget. Right?
Yes.
So I go to the Friars Club and we have an amazing lunch. I meet Henny Youngman that day. I met like a bunch of people at the Friars. I'd never been to the Friars Club. So the Friars Club in Beverly Hills, a little different than the New York Friars Club, but still it was the Milton Berle room. And I'm sitting at Milton Berle's table and, he's giving me, lessons on doing a double take and, and if I tried to be funny while he was holding court, he would go, please, I work alone. I mean, he was exactly what I wanted him to be. And so, yeah, as opportunities then presented themselves, if this was 1986, by like 1993, I had a job at an agency. And Milton said, I've got an idea for a TV show I want to take out, and my agent at William Morris is dead, so I don't have anybody to make these calls for me. Do you want to represent the project? So it's like, yeah. I think it was Milton, Buddy Arnold, and another very dear friend of mine who actually officiated my wedding, a great writer named Stanley Ralph Ross. He wrote more episodes of the Adam West Batman series than anybody else. And that's just one thing to know about Stanley Ralph Ross. He had an incredible life, an incredible career. But he also officiated my wedding. So Milton and Buddy Arnold and Stanley Ralph Ross and I went and pitched this show to Warren Littlefield at NBC and Jeff Sagansky at CBS and Stephen Cannell and like all of these big producers and networks. And no one was going to say no to taking a pitch from Milton Berle, but of course no one bought it. But Milton had a great time. I think he felt like I represented him well. He goes, what else do you think I should be doing? And I said, well, Milton, I think you should be going to places that you haven't been before. Like, I don't know that it does anything for you or your career to be on another Bob Hope special. Not to shit on Bob Hope. I actually get to write on a Bob Hope special. But I think you should be introducing yourself to audiences that, may have forgotten that you're alive or never knew about you in the first place. We sat and we cut an acting reel. I sat in a video bay with Milton and we cut an acting reel because he was really serious about being a serious actor. And so we booked him on Beverly Hills 90210, where he played like an old vaudevillian who was suffering from Alzheimer's disease. And he got a fucking Emmy nomination.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were just, looking for opportunities. And last week, I recorded another podcast with my friend Frank Santopadre and the writer Mike Reiss. Mike Reiss was the showrunner on The Simpsons, but he also created The Critic. He and his partner Al Jean created the animated show The Critic. Remember it?
Yeah, the animated show on Comedy Central, right? What's that? Where it was?
It was on Fox, but I think it was also on another network as well. John Lovitz played Jay Sherman, who was a movie critic.
Right.
And they wanted Milton for an episode. So I worked out the deal. And one of the deal points for Milton was that he wanted to put in his own jokes and he wanted to plug his joke book that he had just published. So he said, Dan, come over to the house, early tomorrow morning before we record the voiceover and help me punch this up. So, okay. This was working with Milton. So I go, he had an apartment on Wilshire Boulevard in the Wilshire corridor. So I go there at like 9 a.m. Milton was not a morning person. He's a comic. Comics are not morning people. So I walk in and Milton is sitting there smoking a cigar in a bathrobe with no underwear. Now, for your listeners, I need to stop down for a moment and say there is a legend. Many legends in and out of show business never live up to all the hype, right? Things get overblown and exaggerated, and over time, they take on a kind of mythic quality. The legend of Milton Berle's penis, I suspected, was such a legend.
Just that sentence makes me tickle. All right, go ahead.
But he was sitting there in a robe with no underwear, knees apart. And when I tell you, I walked in and I was conscious of the fact that I audibly swooned. I went, Milton, oh.
I'm seeing it bathed in light with like an angelic music behind it, like
yes, like the big W music from his film "It's a Madman." W. Yes, a chorus of angels sang. Now, I will tell you, when I tell this story, I make the point that I have seen Milton's penis twice. The second time was for verification, but of course the joke was, the reason I saw it twice was it was so big you had to see it in installments. It was whatever you're imagining. Remember my reference to the picture of the Loch Ness Monster?
Yes.
So anyway, I later saw it again in the men's room at the Friars Club. I was there having lunch with them again, and I go to the bathroom and standing at the urinal, and Milton walks up next to me. And I'm thinking to myself, that must have been like a post-hypnotic suggestion. Like you hear so much, like I invented a memory, right? So I just start to like look over, you know what I mean? Just like, and he looks over at me and he goes, "Is this what you wanted to see?" And he all but like Indiana Jones whipped it at me. It was terrifying. And I did like a Looney Tunes, and I fell flat on the ground, and I'm now laying in just on cold tile and in like, soaking in droplets of old Jew urine just on the floor. And he reaches a hand down to help me up, and he hasn't put it away yet. I'm like, "Milton, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine."
See, I probably would have either grabbed it and pulled myself up, or went to say, "Pleased to meet you."
Oh my God.
It was not quite that bold, GD, but yeah.
But it's not bold. You're just going for the laugh. And now Milton Berle has a story.
It just the mind boggles as to what life must have been like for him, because obviously he's very famous. People, lots of different things that were said about him, but that part of his story was well known. But just
when I interviewed him for the TV Academy, it's the last question in the interview. I knew him well enough. We were really, good friends. So by the time I got to the end of a 4-hour interview or whatever it is, I said, "Milton, last question. Is it true?" Just framed exactly that way. "Milton, is it true?" And he looks at me and he kind of smiles and he goes, "Is what true?" And I think I just said, "It." And I think his response was, at my age, I think this interview would have been in 96. So he would have been 88.
Wow.
I don't know. I mean, is that right? Yeah, I think the interview was in 96, and I think Milton was born in 1908. So yeah. So he said, at my age, he says, when I get an erection, I black out.
Well, good for him. At least he was able to get. But I mean, just to have his, because I don't think he could have walked into any urinal and not had that same experience. Like it must have got so tiring, exhausting for him, of people wanting to verify the legend of Boggy Creek or whatever we call it.
I mean, it became a plot point in the SNL film. Milton taking out his penis.
Right.
And I know that there were, back when they used to do the Dean Martin roast, there was a lot of the stuff that never made television.
Right.
And that there was a good chunk of those things was because of the dick jokes for Milton Berle. But the films have to be out there somewhere, right? The unabridged versions, not what we saw on television, but the stuff they cut out. Do you know if they're?
I don't know. Maybe.
I've never seen outtakes. You mean from the televised Dean Martin roasts?
Right, because there was a televised, but there were, because I think, like the Dean Martin, the televised version was, let's say, an hour long. The actual roast was probably, let's say, 2 or 3 hours, and they were cut down for just that 1 hour. So there's a lot of it you never get to see.
I don't know if there was that much bonus material. My understanding is they would shoot sometimes 2 or 3 roasts in, on one day or in one evening. So they kind of like, roll people in, roll them out.
And from what I know about Dean Martin, he wasn't he wasn't a workaholic. He wasn't the kind of guy who said, "Yeah, let's hang around for 4 hours or 5 hours or 6 hours." he wanted to get back to the golf course or whatever he was doing that day. So.
You know what? That's why Dean loved working with Jonathan Winters. Dean famously hated to rehearse. And so Jonathan, of course, as the great improviser, Dean knew, I'm just going to roll in and I'm going to say whatever. And Jonathan's got this. So, Dean and Jonathan, some of the stuff they did together, it's some of John's best stuff.
Wow. We are just about out of time here, and I want to thank you again for taking this time to spend with me. I really appreciate it.
Having me.
I will see you on October 18th at the King Theater in Brooklyn, New York. But I just like at the end, and you're not old enough to be like thinking about this and what framing my life. But at some point, I think if I were you, I'd have to reflect on my life and say, boy, it was an incredible, blessed experience that I've had, and do you ever kind of just sit back and wonder how did I get so lucky to have this life? And I know skill and talent have a lot to do with it, but the idea there are a lot of skilled and talented people there who just never get these opportunities, and just what a great ride it's been for you so far, and just like pinch yourself, is this really my life?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm incredibly grateful. I feel like, I've just tried to put myself in the company of people I admired, people I wanted to learn from, people who it wasn't monetary, and it had nothing to do with prestige or profile. They just had something that I wanted to take part in some way. And so I think by just, more often than not, just following my heart, I've enjoyed great fortune. I am very grateful.
Thank
you.
Do
you have any copies of your record that you recorded when you were 11? Do you still have any copies left of that?
Not that you know of.
Last question, and I'll let you go. But it's related to what you just said. Like, you are a performer, a writer, a producer at this time, and Milton Berle asked you to represent him. So is that an easy decision to make? Because at that time, like, he wasn't the hip thing, and the youth didn't know who he was. He was your parents' generation superstar. But you are working on other things that need your attention. Is that an easy thing like that? For me, that would be a difficult decision. I'm working on my own comedy career. I'm working on making television shows. I'm working on this and that. I would love to put that on my resume, but I feel like it would take away my energy from what I'm really working on. And
at that point, I had really decided that, performing was actually the last thing that I was really interested in. Like I say, that was opportunity. I mean, very much like you say, it was like happenstance. So when I started performing, like I said, I was writing jokes for other people, and I got sort of pulled along through the boom. But at that point, I had made a conscious decision that I felt that my best life and my best value was in this kind of behind the scenes capacity. And look, I will say this, you're absolutely right that it was certainly generally understood that someone like Milton or Sid Caesar, who I also represented at least for a couple of deals, they were icons whose best work was behind them, and weren't necessarily going to be generating tons of money in commissions. But there was something really there was something that was undeniable in the opportunity to represent them, to have the experience, not just these fun stories that I'm sharing with you, but to have the I walked into Warren Littlefield's office at NBC with a really well worked out pitch, and there was something valuable in that process. Even if we didn't sell it, I felt like I represented Milton well. I think I represented myself well. And, these are opportunities that may on their face not seem like, oh, this is going to get you ahead. But I learned a lot from those opportunities, and I do feel that they took me where I was gonna go.
Wow. I appreciate, because there are so many people who have no clue, and I'm probably among them, of how you kind of prepare yourself, make the right decisions in life, and some of your insights are gold for those people. So I appreciate you sharing all this stuff with them. I wish we had more. Obviously, that was opportunity calling. There was some other great star looking for to work with you.
I'm sorry, I should have silenced the phone. Forgive me.
No, we appreciate it, because now I'm going to wonder who that was. I was on with Jeff Altman, and David Letterman called him, and he was like, "Oh, it's Dave." I was like, Put him on the phone. Put him on the show."
I'm going to share one last story with you if we have time, because
Sure.
I would tell you a Robert Klein story.
Oh, I love Robert Klein. It's like one of my super top level.
And I loved your interview with him. It was terrific. Absolutely terrific. You were great with him. Very much like I did for Jonathan, I was always on the lookout for jobs for Robert. I mean, I booked Jonathan on a lot of stuff. And his wife at one point, actually, his wife Eileen, who I adored, said, "John, you need to give Dan Pasternak a commission." He said, "I'm not going to take a commission." This is long after my agency days. But I can't help myself. It's like, these people are valuable resources. There's one Milton Berle. There's one Jonathan Winters. There's one Robert Klein. And, people need to know that. So every once in a while, I would try and push Robert into doing things. And people knew that we were friends. So this was not, by the way, something I initiated, but something I facilitated. So I'm here in my house several years ago. I want to say 10 years ago, maybe a little more than 10 years ago. And I get a call from my friend David Latt. David Latt is somebody I went to high school with. And we actually produced a documentary about Jack Benny when I was in the 10th grade and David was in the 12th grade. And we've stayed friends. He's a terrific TV producer. He has a company called The Asylum. And he called me up. He had done this film that had been a kind of surprise big hit on Sci-Fi called Sharknado. And so he needed someone to play the mayor of New York for Sharknado 2. He had cast the part, and then the individual he had cast for this part dropped out at the last minute, tried to pull some shenanigans. It was literally like a Friday. It was shooting on Monday. This person had fallen out, and David called me and said, "You're friends with Robert Klein, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah." He says, "Can you get him to play the mayor of New York in Sharknado 2?" And I go, "Oh, I'll talk him into doing that." So I called Robert, who again usually says no, but I sort of say, "Look, there's a kind of fun kitsch value in doing this." I kind of described what the thing was. And he goes, "All right, what the hell? It's local. I'll do it." He said, "So tell me, who was it that fell out that created this wonderful opportunity for me?" And I said, "Donald Trump."
Holy smoke.
The person who had been cast in the part, who dropped out at the last minute, was Donald Trump.
Mind blowing. It's mind blowing on a lot of levels, but the fact that Trump would turn down a movie or any spotlight or any chance to be seen and heard, that's mind blowing. Holy crap!
He probably had a juvenile date. Some juvenile reason for doing it, or not doing it.
For some reason, Sharknado and I, it's part of my. Robbie Rist was on this program talking about his role in Sharknado.
That's an Oliver.
It's Robert Klein. I mean, it's just like Sharknado keeps coming around, and I've never seen the movie.
Really?
Oh,
yeah.
That's a blind spot in your cultural literacy.
It is, and now I got to go see it. Right?
I've seen the first two. I think there were 9. Actually, there were quite a few.
3, right? There was 3.
And Robert did return in Sharknado 3, so I think he's in 2 and 3.
Wow, Dan, what a great encyclopedic for entertainment, not just comedy, but the history of show business, television, and the 20th into the 21st century. What a great resource you are for all this information. I'm serious. I would love to attend NYU if I could make it at all possible. You're still teaching that class, right?
Yes. So I had a fall class that's now fortunately been moved to the spring. So I'm not teaching this fall, but I teach to third-year grad students, and I've had amazing guest speakers. During COVID, when nobody could do anything and the class was all virtual, I opened one semester with a conversation with my students and Norman Lear.
Wow.
But I've had, Judd Apatow and Natasha Lyonne and Raphael Bob Waxberg and Bill Hader one year took the students through the entire process of developing the show Barry. Last term, Ben Stiller came in and took them through the whole development process of Severance. I love teaching, and all of these people love talking to the students, and it's great to sort of stay connected to where young artists are, in their hearts and in their imaginations. So no, it's like I say, this is something I've long wanted to do, and I can't believe it. I've been at Tisch now 10 years.
Well, I totally appreciate. I can't find the words to describe how much I appreciate you taking over an hour to spend with us on this little corner of the internet. And now I'm going to tell everybody that you and I are best friends.
I would love to exploit our great relationship because I have 2 podcasts I'd like to invite you on. Well, the one with Alan Katz. Alan Katz is
Tales from the Crypt.
The writer Alan Katz?
Yeah, we're doing a podcast together. We're just starting it, and we're looking for people to interview dealing with comedy and what makes them laugh.
I love Alan Katz.
Well,
Big fan of Alan Katz. He's great.
All right, follow up, GD. I will send you information that you can follow up with that.
Okay, so I'll reach out to you. So you know
So
what
we're all
GD
best friends now.
Absolutely. Listen, any friend of Rick Overton's cat is a friend of mine.
Okay.
Oh well, believe me, that cat. This is the funny thing. If I don't talk for more than 10 minutes, she thinks I'm not doing anything, and she comes in to get my attention. And you're so interesting that there were many gaps when I was not talking, and so she kept coming in here, going like, "You're not doing anything. Come play with me."
Yeah, and there's a Rick Overton connection to a bunch of my friends. I'm going to tell them all about this episode and share with Rick because his name was mentioned several times.
And also, Queen Elizabeth Gordon, because she's a good friend of mine.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah.
All thanks to listen, Dan. I know we've kept you long enough, and I appreciate so much you spending this time with us. And good luck. And I'll see you on the 18th. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. You too.
The legendary Dan Pasternak. Wow, great stuff there. Don't you agree? Now, I didn't get to ask him about your what didn't make it. I'm sure he probably wouldn't know about what didn't make it into Airplane, the final cut, right? Or maybe he does, like some of the stuff that you mentioned.
Oh, it may come out during the Q&A. What was taken out, was left out, stuff like that. Like like I said, it's just that whenever you're making a movie and it's a comedy, and there's a rating system involved, there's sometimes they just say, no, you can't do that and keep the rating.
Right.
You can't do this and keep a PG. You can't do this and keep an R. You can't do this. And so those are things I'd like to know about. Sure. I know I asked Stephen Colbert. That was what I'd asked him. I said, "Is there anything that you wanted to do on your show, but you knew it was funny, but they wouldn't let you do?" And he sat silent for like 10, 15 seconds, and he goes, "No, I think I've done everything on the show," and I know he hasn't, because I know there's some things that he, they just said you can't do it because of the ratings.
Yeah. Well, maybe you say it and they cut it out later on, but.
Well, yes, but it didn't make the show. That's what I'm talking about. Stuff that just didn't make the show.
Wow. I don't know how we're going to top this moving forward in a week. Thursday, I don't think we have a guest, and that's a good thing because I got a morning show that I'd have to be out of here by latest 10 o'clock anyway, probably 9:30. I don't know if you want to host a show with no guest, or if we get a guest for you, or whatever you
Well,
want.
I can see if I can get a guest. That's Thursday.
Yeah.
Now, because I know what's his face is
Robert Yerry wants to come back. No, I'm kidding.
I know that Kenneth is going to be Friday.
Thursday.
No, I think you said there's no guest on Thursday.
Who?
You said there's no guest on Thursday.
No guest on Thursday, yeah.
Right, so Kenneth, I think, is on Friday.
John Kenneth, yeah.
Yeah, John Kenneth is on Friday.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can get somebody for Thursday. Who knows?
All
maybe
right,
maybe
we'll
Queen Elizabeth will be around.
In 8 or 9 commercials played. Wow, I did not know that. Did something change on YouTube where they're playing more commercials now?
Oh, maybe I can play 8 or 9 commercials on Thursday.
Let me ask you, Sunshine. Was they on the side and you still see the programming? Because I think that's what they said the change was going to be. YouTube was going to start putting them on the side, but still show you the content somehow. I don't know if you can answer that while I'm.
But that's stupid.
You know what? I'll look into that and see if that's excessive. Hey Matt, didn't mean to leave you out of the haze. Oh, well you can. That's fine. I'm in the haze. Okay, it's spelled Haze. Anyway, I appreciate you being here, BG254. Does that BG stand for background? or whatever. BG254, thank you for being here. Appreciate all your comments. Now, I'm going to play the thing and maybe we'll find. I'll see what I can do about the YouTube commercials. Who's with us tomorrow, Johnny? Do you know? Why did I call you Johnny? There is somebody. Oh, Anthony D'Ambrosio is with us tomorrow. Anthony again? That's a terrible thing to say about a guest. Who is he again? I'll find out. I think he's another author. Sherwood Fellows. Anyway, let's get out of here. Don't forget to turn on your radio. Have a great day. I got to run. You got to run. And bye for now. That's the wrong thing. My butt.
Oh listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me.